And we are live. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Braga.
How's it going? How's the day been?
It's been incredible. One for the ages.
Oh my God.
How are you feeling?
I am feeling very, very relieved and slightly exhausted, but super excited about this and everything that's happened and the best community in the world. Now,
it's been
what
very
are
cool.
we doing today, Matt?
We've got a lot to cover. We're going to do a founder AMA. We're going to cross to a few places, I think. One to Product Hunt itself, as well as we've also got the team in Oslo. We've got a community section too, as well as some of our backers who are coming in to talk to all that as well. So jam-packed, going to be a lot of fun, going to be a bit of a marathon too. So stick with us or jump in and out, all good. It'll all be recorded.
Yes, everything will be recorded and shared. All right, so no further, let's just get everyone to say hello. Should we bring in, who should we bring in first? Founders or Oslo office?
I think let's go with the Oslo office.
Let's do it.
Hey!
Hello, everyone.
Hey, hello. How are you?
Hey. Really excited. So just before we go on, I just want to show you all something that I know you've been refreshing every couple of seconds, which is this. Awesome times. All right. Is everyone excited? Are you going to stay up all night? Join us for the party?
Oh, yeah. The whole time. Of course.
All right. Amazing. So we'll be back in Oslo a bit later. But first, what are we doing, Matt?
We're going to go straight to the founders, I think.
Yeah. Let's bring them on. All right. Oslo. See you later.
See ya. See ya.
Okay. Let's just bring them on stage.
Hey, you look smashing tonight, guys.
Thank you very much.
And speaking of smashing, Tarjei,
yes,
I have heard a rumor that we had some thresholds that if we crossed this and this many upvotes, the founders had to do different things. So I know, Grim, you have a terrible rendezvous with the karaoke at 2000. And Olav, I'm not even going to mention yours.
Yes, we should.
Yeah. What are you going to do if we get how many upvotes, Olav?
So if we get 5,000 by the end of the month, I'll do a... God, Braga, what a stupid idea. I'll tattoo the Tana logo somewhere on my body.
Oh, I love this. All right. So, okay, just wiping the smile off my face. But there's another threshold, which is at 1,000, Tarjei.
Yeah.
And I think I'm sorry, Oslo office, you might have run off, but I'm going to bring you back so you can join the fun for this one. And let's see if they've all undressed completely. No, they're still here. Yay. All right. So this is what happens when founders make promises and happen to keep them.
A promise is a promise. 1,000 votes on Product Hunt, and I'm going ice bathing, and this is actually solid ice, so this will be very interesting. Aurora had this idea that I should do this now, even though that the AMA is in 30 minutes. So I guess we can we just have to keep a promise.
Amazing. Amazing.
Promise kept, yes. Good luck. Keep on voting.
I just need to do something, which is Tanya, I saw your face when you were just on it earlier. Off the ice.
Yeah, so I was pretty bloody afterwards, but it was well worth it. 1,000 votes on Product Hunt. Come on, that's I would do
Incredible.
this any day to get 1,000 upvotes. This is amazing. I
Well
just
done.
imagine 1,000 people and all the comments that we have. 385 comments. It's incredible. I did nothing. You guys did everything. I mean, by you guys, I mean the community and everyone here and everyone who's not here.
Incredible.
I still think amazing. Well done, Talia. That was really, really cool. Okay.
My pleasure.
Should we crack on, Matt? Should we let the
Yes.
the Oslo office leave us again? Thanks for joining.
Yes.
We'll be back there later. Bye, guys.
All right, let's get straight into the AMA, and we've got a few questions lined up and put a few threads out in the community this week to get some feedback as well. Talia, I'm going to start with you, and I guess today we have an influx of a lot of new users.
Yes.
So it might be nice to give them a bit of a context start. So can you give us a bit of a heads up on what Tana is and some of the background and the vision of Tana for those that are arriving?
Let's do that. Brage, could you share my screen?
I can indeed.
All right. And unfortunately, I can't see you guys while I'm doing it. So please let me know when you're ready. You have it there. And when I do like this, you can see the next slide, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So first of all, thank you to everyone who's here, who couldn't make it, and who have helped us today and leading up to this. This is a huge day for us, and it's been, I don't know, I just feel like it's been 1,000 great birthdays at the same time. Everyone is cheering, everyone is exhausted, but still super happy. And I thought we could share with you a little bit about how we got here and what Tana is, how it came to be. So the story kind of dates back to this guy, Lars Rasmussen. He was he founded Google Maps and sold it to Google. And after he joined Google, Larry asked him, "What do you want to do now?" And he said, "I want to kill email." And that was the birth of the Google Wave project. I'm sure many of you have heard of it or even used it. But they assembled some of the best talent in Google, including Grim, which you all know is one of the founders and the head of product at Tana. All of these are, by the way, invested in Tana, including Grim, of course. But they gathered the best people to try to kill email. But the same thing that at the same time, Facebook was starting to eat Google's lunch. They started to do quite a bit of advertising, and the media and the shareholders, investors, all were like, "Google, you have to respond to this. What are you doing on social?" And Lars was sort of forced to launch Google Wave, even though they were not really ready. In fact, Grim, who was a senior PM at Google Wave, he said, "No, we are not ready. We should not launch now." But the story is actually so that we had to launch because they were forced because of the Facebook situation and all of the other things going on inside of Google. And later on, Google Wave has been deemed the greatest product killed by its launch. And I think that holds true for many things. And this may be one of the things that helps explain how it took Tana more than 3 years to get to a launch. This has been a pretty expensive experience for many parts. But anyway, Grim and me worked both at Google. We're both from Norway, but we had to actually fly to Sydney, where he worked and I worked to meet up there. But after when I left Google, I joined a company called Disruptive Technologies, where we made the world's smallest wireless sensor. They still, to this date, is the world's smallest sensor. It can sense anything like temperature and pressure and capacitance, where you feel if someone is near it, water, whatnot. It's an impressive, insane engineering product. So I called Grim and asked him if he wanted to join, and we were there for 5 years. Built an amazing product, launched it, and then we said we would like to do something on our own. And then this guy came up to me. I was at a conference, and he sort of stalked me actually into the restroom, and he said, "Hey, you're OJ, aren't you?" And and he said, "I have this amazing idea. Can I pitch it to you?" And he pitched it. It was really good. But I chatted with Graham, and I said, "Hey, I had this guy. He came up to me and had this idea. What do you think?" And Graham was like, "Nah, not so sure, but the guy himself seems pretty good. You and me are pretty good at like technology and product, all of those type of things. But this guy seems really strong on like growth, go to market, all of the commercial stuff. Maybe we should team up with him." And we're thinking about what should we do. And we felt a strong need that education in general is really lacking in terms of what the potential is for both technology and AI and everything else. So we started interviewing a whole bunch of teachers, students, professors, whatnot, and we soon discovered that there's a bunch of challenges that are really worthwhile solving. And for every challenge we found, we started digging into sketching out solutions. And right after we sketched out the solution, we quickly realized, oh, there's someone who's already doing this. And why don't they have traction, or why did they just get bought up by someone else immediately? And we discovered that in order to do technology for education, what you really need to be good at is selling to government and large institutions. And that's not something we want to spend our time on. We want to spend our time building products that people love and use. But incidentally, we use this tool, which to those of you that have used Tana might look a little bit familiar. This was Grim's product idea that he's been carrying around since way before the Google Wave days. And for those of you who read the TechCrunch article, he tried to pitch some of these ideas to Lars himself for Google Wave. But we were using his tool because he had built it all. It was not as polished as Tana is today, of course, but it had basically most of the features. So we used this tool when we did all of the research for the educational technology. And suddenly Olav just like burst out and said, "I've never been more productive in my life. Why don't we just do this? This is the thing we should do." So the long story short is that we met up in the beginning of 2021, and we quickly discovered that what we really want to do is to reinvent how humans, teams, and computers work together. And we all felt this this feeling where even though all my data is in my computer, is digitally in the cloud and on my computer, I still have to do a bunch of the work of connecting the data and making sure that it's in the right application, copying and pasting. We have a lot of information that is scattered around from presentations like this and other places, although this is in Tana. So we really felt strongly around this mission, and this mission hasn't changed a single bit, not one character, since we started in the beginning of 2021. And I doubt that it will change in the next 5 years either. So we, in the beginning, this is actually, yeah, so this is funny. So we called Lars and asked if he wanted to be an angel. And we showed him Tana, or Grim showed him Tana, and he said, "What took you so long? Like, you've been talking about these things for forever." But long story short, he joined, and we envisioned in late 22 that this is what we wanted to do. So that we actually teased about this to some of you, that when we're ready to go live, we want to be on TechCrunch, and we have this clickbait where it's like Google Wave revived. And today, it's pretty close. It's at least on TechCrunch. And if you read the article, Lars was actually interviewed, and he's part of it, and Google Wave is mentioned. So I think we, although a little bit later than we would, I still feel like we stuck to the plan. And that's sort of like the theme of everything, Tana, is that things have taken longer than we thought, but we have done exactly what we wanted to do the entire time. And we're going to continue to do that, only hopefully much faster than our our estimates, if you will. So today is a really special day, Matt. I just wanted to tell this story because I'm not sure if everyone has heard it. I'm not even sure if some of the community people have heard it, but this is sort of where we came from and the story of how we got here.
Incredible, great backstory, and there's some great comments in the chat about origin stories and how useful they are. So really nice to hear, Tajay. The next thing I'd probably ask is just an update from where we've been. We had our last AMA in August, I think, last year, plus our end of year wrap up in December. What has the last few months of Q4 meant for you and the team?
Yeah, it's that's it feels so long time ago. It's strange, right? Because it's just been like it's been now. But let me see if I can find my notes in Tana first. Let's see here. I was in another place here. We have so this last quarter has been about basically two main things. So it's been about the backend, which you've heard me talk about so many times. That has been one of the prerequisite for mobile, which has been the big thing. I think we've had at some point the entire team on mobile, and we finally got Android going first with one person, then hired another really senior person, and then now a third. So hopefully, crossing fingers, it's right around the corner. But mobile and the backend that goes with it, which you haven't seen any of the fruits of, if you will, yet, which you will eventually, and everything leading up to the launch. So you could call it removing the waitlist because that's kind of what we're doing, but it's all the other bits and pieces as well, like payment on iOS and Android, all of the back office things, the launch material, the getting all the ducks in a row to get the product hunt launch, all the ambassadors that have been done an amazing job, navigator, trying to keep the community happy, even though we haven't released that many other smaller things throughout the year, and then finally growing the team. So we've been interviewing. I think we've had over 150 interviews with like 450 candidates that have been through the pipeline, and we've hired some amazing talent, including our new head of AI, who's started a month ago, and another very technical, deep, knowledgeable AI person, and an Electron expert. So watch out for Electron and see what we can do when we're doing native, including stuff that Grim is going to excite you about later on today. But all in all, it feels like a very long quarter in the sense that we did so much work, and it feels like it was not that much that came out because we've been seeing the app and we've been having the app internally, but just getting there has been super important to us.
Incredible, yes, and a major milestone. I think it was our most asked for feature for a long time, the mobile app. To really see it out in the community has been incredible. So not a small thing by any means. Cool. Let's go over to Olav. And obviously today's a pretty special one for us too, and just a wave of energy and enthusiasm, and so great to see. But what does launch actually mean for us, and what does it mean for the community as well, existing users and new users?
So the most important thing is we're opening up for everyone. So we're removing the wait list, so everyone can go through Tana Inc. and actually get an account now. And for Tana to get out in the world and start learning even more from even more people, it's going to be incredibly important for us. And I think that it's about time. They say you should launch while you're still a bit embarrassed. I'm not sure how true that is, but I think we've spent 4 years in stealth, and I think we needed that. I think it's been super important to actually get the product to where we wanted it to be. And then there's also a stage for a company where you have to start going from product to our business. And I think that's going to be super important for us now. And it's also going to be much easier for people to actually share Tana with others, because you don't have to actually have an invite. So you won't need the invites anymore. And it's just a step change for us, right? We're out there, and we have a GA, and we've already gotten so much amazing feedback from users and new users just testing it. So it's super exciting.
Excellent. And still a lot to come too. It's not as though we feel like we're the final product. There's so much power in Tana and so much you can do, but we also know daily there's more to come, right?
No, I think this is it. This is where we're going. No.
This is it.
No, we're just beginning, right? So this is we're just about to have liftoff on this rocket, and I think there's so many incredible things we have on the back burner. The vision of reinventing how humans, teams, and computers work together we just scratched the surface of that. And I think with our amazing team, our team was coined by a fantastic investor, the strongest tech team in Europe. I would say one of the strongest in the world, and it's a privilege to have them on this journey. And I think people are going to be blown away when they see where we're at in a year.
Awesome to hear.
Grim.
All right. The subtle segue, I think that's a nice shift to speaking of what we're doing in a year and what's to come. I think we'll switch over to our roadmap, which has been obviously a big focus for us. So, Braga, if you don't mind sharing my screen, awesome. Thank you. Firstly, Grim, let's do a quick reflection on our Q4 roadmap, and then we'll move into the vision for what's to come. So, this was our roadmap that we published publicly. It looks a little bit different. It's in Tana instead of on a blog, but essentially the same information. So these are the things that we focused on in Q4. Should we run through them one by one, or do you want to start with some general reflections, Grim?
No, I think I want to start by verifying that I do have sound.
Yes, you do.
Okay, let's just look at these. I think we could go through them one by one and
sure.
see where we stand.
Okay, let's start at the top there. So one of the things we talked about as an area of focus is making it easier to get into Tana for new users. Do you want to give us some reflections on that?
Yeah, so we know that Tana has a steep learning curve. And we also know that when people try out products, they don't have much patience if they're stuck looking at a white page and a user manual maybe somewhere buried on a website. So we really had to do something to let people experience some of the value of Tana as fast as possible. And our best bet for that is, of course, the super tag. If you could come into Tana with a few super tags predefined somehow that you could immediately try to use, and then a way of using them as well. So that was our goal, that no one should come into Tana without some useful tags available for them to try out. And we did two things there, because there are two kind of ways that can happen. We've done a lot of improvement around template publishing, making it easier to publish templates and also how they behave when they're published. So now you could be looking at a blog post about how to run hiring in Tana and find a link that will take you straight into Tana, carrying that template for how to do that with functional super tags, and have that installed and immediately start trying that out. And that is definitely what we kind of hope for in the future, that there's going to be a lot of use case driven entries into Tana like that. But then we also had to build a package of pre-installed content, because we have still work to do on having an app store where you have to pick a few apps before you come in. So we've invested in pre-installed content. So every new user now gets a setup of super tags that we think should allow them to explore Tana and get a sense of the value in it. And that, of course, also ties together with mobile, which we'll talk about in a second. But I think overall, that's I can't read, unfortunately, your screen now, so you'll have to call me out on if there's some essential things missing. But to me, that we've gotten where we needed to go with our plan there. Then we have to evaluate going forward how well it works, etc. But it's a very different place than where we were at the time.
Excellent. We've also got Theo coming in later, and he'll show off some of the pre-installed content. So that'll be a good follow on from that. Let's go on to mobile then. So yes, providing a delightful mobile experience.
because the segue there is sort of very appropriate, because the place we wanted people to be able to use these super tags initially was on mobile, because that is the most low level threshold of exploring Tana. You just grab your mobile, pick a tag, and you record into it, and then you get to see an AI process version of your output. So there's a lot of value points you touch by a very simple action. And so that was our main goal interaction wise. We wanted mobile out. We wanted the recording experience to a defined tag to be really nice. We wanted to guide people towards being able to do that. And again, I think on the mobile side, I'm quite happy about where we managed to get. We decided very early on that we would let mobile drive the priorities. We had lots of plans, but we put mobile in the front seat. If anything was needed for us to deliver on that idea of someone picking up mobile and recording to it and seeing value, mobile would drive those priorities. And so, and that worked. We got iOS out. We actually also have Android out now. Android is still in a more of an early access version, but probably already better than by far the Android capture app. So it feels really good. I just want to comment on something there, that the Tana client by design is very memory hungry. It's actually part of what makes the Tana client fast. And so we had sort of worked on an architecture that is really hard to port to mobile, because on mobile is the one thing the OS doesn't want you to do is grab memory and hold on to it. So I'm just saying this to explain that, putting mobile in the front seat and doing everything it required was actually a lot of work. A lot of infrastructure we had to put in place, a lot of refactoring of code that is shared between mobile and desktop. And so we knew it would be a difficult thing, but we also knew that it's very much an overlap with the things we needed to do to stuff that I'll get back to later. So it was a definite step in the right direction, and we used mobile to drive it, and we'll take more steps in that direction.
Excellent.
Yeah, should we go on?
Yeah, let's move on. Making Tana faster and more accessible.
Yeah, we've done a few small optimizations here. We, for instance, made the @mentioning. We changed how that was implemented to make that faster. But I think if you look away from mobile, desktop users from back, before the quarter of Q4, it's probably not too much of a difference that they've noticed on faster and more accessible. So this has also mostly been work towards getting mobile in place. And again, this will lead to, though, much faster and more accessible Tana, because the work we put into mobile is sort of lead us towards offline functionality or local first functionality, so which I'll get back to.
Excellent. Okay, strengthening the core aspects of Tana with a focus on workflows.
Yeah. So, but then this is a super interesting track. So Tana has a lot of mechanisms that are used to run workflows. People are running workflows in Tana all along. What we wanted to do here was to raise workflow management in Tana to more of a first-class citizen, and really make it a separate thing. That we haven't been able to do yet. We do, however, have extended where you can do workflows by implementing some limited editing on mobile so far, that you can set field values so that you can look at a work list and assign people to it on mobile. So we broadened where you can do workflows in Tana, but we didn't get to do the, well, actually, we got a sneak peek of it. So the progress bar, which bubbles hierarchically progress information upwards to give you an overview and allow you to do project breakdowns, that is sort of a sneak peek into that process support functionality that we will continue on. And maybe the most important thing actually here was the re-implementation of Search Node for mobile, so that you can actually pull up current state versions of the search on mobile, which, by the way, was a complete re-implementation of how search nodes are done. So yeah, I'll put that under that category. And so overall, I had hoped for a little bit more, but I think we got a lot of good stuff done there. And the reception of the progress bar was really, someone said, I love that the, progress bar and checkboxes are the bubble wrap for productivity people. So, that's the need to see the progress bar go all the way. It clearly drove some good behavior there.
Yeah, excellent. Really well received by a lot of people. Let's move on to unlocking AI use in Tana.
Yeah, and the reason why we call it unlock is that we've had a lot of AI functionality in Tana for a long time, but on a building block level. So you really had to be a builder to know how to compose that, to actually be able to do something interesting with it. And so the missing part was, how do we allow people to have an experience of what it means to have AI work on your data in Tana without having to become a builder first? So this, of course, goes back to, if you have a well-defined super tag, it can have a lot of AI functionality, domain-specific fit to that super tag. But we wanted to make that even easier. So we did the menu systems. So now you can have much more clean ways of packaging actions on a super tag, turning a super tag sort of into a mini application, including having an application menu. We also did some improvements where you can, pop up the drafts panel so that you can see the output of an AI action without necessarily overwriting or adding to the thing you're working on, which that opens up to more scenarios of how you use AI. So I'll give an example of, if you're looking at a recipe, you can have an AI action to, suggest some desserts, and then you can just look at the one you like and drag it over. So it doesn't have to be an automatic, it's still a collaborative thing. And when we did that, it was also obvious to us that this allows us actually to, raise the AI prompt so high up that most people can probably find it with a single click and sort of see some of the instructions and also be able to edit it. So this is the first time we've been able to allow someone to click on a button with a nicely labeled thing, run an action, and then inspect, how did this happen, and maybe tweak it a little bit for next time. So then we're the first step towards this evolution of, instead of starting from scratch, you can start from an example. You can see how it works, and then you can turn it into something that you like better. And that's generally how programmers work anyway. They copy some program and they tweak it. So this is a stepping stone towards that. The template installation, of course, fits into this because you need the examples. You need to have some starting points. But, we also invested a little bit in the AI actions themselves, and the fact that you can now also trigger an AI chat with a custom prompt based on your tag. So you can have a very specific, if you have an OKR tag, you can have a very specific advisor that will look at your OKRs with you, give you some feedback, and you can have a discussion before you decide what to do. So I don't think we've seen at all yet how much can be unlocked by these things, but we're really excited about it. And I'm assuming we'll have some demos of some of that later.
Yep, I think we will see some of them. Okay, I'm a little bit conscious of time, so I'm just going to quickly run through a few quick ones on this. So firstly, there was a question in the chat from Nico, who said, can Grim say something more about what workflows means here?
I will later.
Yeah, okay, we'll later. I will add a little bit of a qualifier there too. In our roadmap on this one, we specifically mentioned offline. So what is the status of offline in respect to workflows?
Again, we'll cover that.
Okay, all right then. Let's finish off then with a general reflection for Q4. How would you reflect on Q4 for the team, Grim?
Overall, I think the question was whether we did the right thing with mobile or not. And I'm leaning heavily towards it. We did. I think we did the right thing by putting that in the forefront and say that if anything has to fall to the floor, not the things that mobile depends on. And that forced us to do a few challenging things that we've been pushing in front of us for a while. So I think it just put us in a much better situation for moving forward now. And I know there are existing users who might not have been, a lot of people really, mobile was what they were asking for anyway. But of course, people who have other asks and it wasn't that much into mobile, I can understand that they're feeling very patiently waiting for us to resolve some of their other asks. I hope that's exactly where we can be getting to soon.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, let's switch over now to the direction for Tana. So what's to come, which would be great. And Grim, do you mind just zooming in a little on your screen?
Oh, do I mind? I think I do. Will I manage? Let's try. This is Linux. Tell me when it's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so first a disclaimer. So it's not a firm roadmap. This is my attempt of explaining the directions from where we stand right now. We just talked about where we came from, and I just want to. I hope you'll see that we're not pivoting. we're actually moving along in a fairly straight line for quite a while. And Tana has a very large surface area, so there's a number of things that will go forward a little bit at a time. But anyway, I'll dive into, why is that like that? Okay, I'll dive into one of these at a time. So we've already talked about mobile. I'll skip the recent work, but our goal with mobile is, of course, that you should be able to work with your data from anywhere. So if you're in the car or in the forest, it should not be a problem if you need to access your data. Can't be a second brain for you if you're not, if you don't have access to it. And the next step, so the very close in time next steps is mobile editing. It's already available in early access in a very early version. We need to make it more fully baked. And we want to be able to do some more interesting things also by edits by voice, where you can do a short recording of some edit instructions and just let that go and let an AI, figure out the details of it. And then the second thing that is missing currently for being more of a fully fledged replacement or alternative to desktop is being able to run commands on mobile. And there is a reason for that. I'm not going into that right now, but hopefully soon we will be able to enable more and more of the commands to also run on mobile, so that you can, maybe not all of them at the one time, but that you can start building templates that have mobile functionality. And when we do that, then we're also turning super tags into small mobile applications. So I'm really looking forward to that. Currently, you can record voice and have fairly advanced AI processing happening on that voice. If you share an image or a PDF though from mobile, it just becomes an upload and goes into Tana. So broadening that processing pipeline to include other types of content, so that you can have an AI processing on images. You can, if you take a photo of a recipe in a book, it could tag it with a recipe and send it to Tana. It should just go into your catalog of recipes, and the OCR and everything could just be part of that process. So this is just extending. A lot of the things we're going to do going forward is just an extension to what we've already done. And there's a lot of multiplication effects when we do that. And lastly, conversational voice access to Tana. This is going to be a long haul, but the starting point is just to capture that instead of a one-way monologue, you set up a conversational script based on the metadata of the tag, and you can have more of a natural conversation about the information until you're kind of happy with what you've shared, and then you can ask the AI to go and fill it in for you. This is something we've more or less, I was going to say, we've demoed it internally, but this is a really interesting thing because it combines a lot of additional aspects where you can ask questions, and the AI can have a lot of background and help you fill things in. So it's a very interesting step up. You yell out if there are questions or things you want me to stop. If not, I'm just going to try to keep going, because
keep going.
Sure how we're doing for time. I don't have a watch.
So, a few minutes left.
Okay. So the zoomable knowledge graph. This is, of course, a core part of Tana, and everything we do to strengthen it improves everything it's used for in Tana. But we do know that there is some really powerful things about Tana, such as search, that still doesn't have a sufficiently simple UX. So being able to just, we did the tag overview page, but even if you go there and you click on a tag, you still, you don't get a drill down interface. We want to make this just much simpler. We have the filters already. This is a repackaging of the UI. So you want to be able to just click your way through to a subset of the data you're looking for, and then you can decide if you want to save it as a search node or not. We have a lot of improvements we can do to search and indexing based on metadata that we already have. This is the node, all nodes, everything in Tana is a node. But if we're being honest, some nodes are more nodes than others. Some nodes are just content, and they just belong underneath another node. And if you're searching for them, the thing you really want to find is the thing about. And we already know what that thing is. So this is just us having to work on our indexing and our search UI to improve. This one is really interesting. Fields in Tana are all also on the same level today. Well, we have optional field. That's the one thing we've done. We said some fields don't deserve to be displayed up front because there are too many. But we also have some other field types that when we are able to separate them out, will both clean up the UI and give us a lot more interesting metadata about how to provide, for instance, the search interface and the drill down interface. So this is about some fields are defining what a node is. You know, if I have an interview with Matt and I change Matt to Tarjay, it's not the interview. It's not the same interview anymore. It's sort of part of the identity. It should belong as part of the title. And some fields are very much organizing principles. So if you have a bug, you have the severity, you have the module it's reported against. That's not the content of the bug. That's the organizing things of the bugs. And we have some ideas of how to make that much cleaner, which also removes clutter from the screen, and it gives more semantics to the indexing system and everything. So these are really small improvements that, well, hopefully will impact everyone who uses it. They're actually quite impactful, but they're not necessarily so difficult. We want to add a few field types. These are small quick wins, you know, location types, so that you can put nodes on a map and move them around to change locations. Things that are just building on the structure we have by adding a little bit more. Then we'll work on readability. This is a topic we've already done a few things, but we have to get Tana to be just as easy to read as page-based solutions. And I think there's one good thing working for us here is that all those AI chats, they reply in outlines. So I think there are millions of people now that are really getting used to see outlines as a good reply to an information question. So hopefully outlines are less foreign now than when we started. But we do have situations in Tana when things are getting too tight and you know, if you have multiple things on the screen where we're not exploiting screen instead as well as we could. There are small things we could do. We could just make fields allow you to have slightly different layouts. So you can, you know, use the space slightly differently. And I'm probably running out of time, so I'm going to skip some of this. But the zoomable thing is, you know, at the end of the day, every information system has a problem that the more you feed it, the harder it gets to maintain an overview. So our challenge, when I say a zoomable knowledge graph, is that you should always be able to look at it from afar or from high above and see the correct outlines and know where to drill down. And that's important for humans, but it's also very important for AI when you're going to compose contexts for processing, that you're able to go in and find the right place to expand into. So, okay, this is about workflows. When I say workflows, sorry, questions?
Probably got time for one more, Grim, and then we can publish the rest later.
Okay, sorry, I ran out of time. So anyway, workflows is task management, project management, everything about moving things from a life cycle to start to end. And we've given you a sneak peek with the progress bar, but what we want to achieve here is that the super tags that represent such an item, where people are generally putting status fields in there now, they're putting options for different statuses. We want to raise that to say, well, if you say that the status field is of a type of workflow, then we know what it means, and then we can do a lot of magic for you. And also we can allow you to define when this status is applied. You know, maybe we'll change the content, maybe we'll change the buttons. You can sort of customize so that the tag behaves differently as it goes through its life cycle. And we can bubble up the progress information so that all of your processes, you can have an overall process view for the stuff that's going on and have a much easier way of keeping track of things. So yeah, and there's a lot more to say about this. I'm wondering if there's something else I should cover before you cut me off. Which
yes,
one?
go for it, Grim. Yeah.
I mean, they're all there's so much.
They're all pretty good. Yes, perhaps a collaboration one. I think there's a fair bit of detail in that one.
Okay, so collaboration is, we're moving from individual users succeeding in Tana to individual users succeeding in Tana and sharing things around them so that other people benefit from them, and they do too. And the goal is, of course, to have multiple people in Tana working together. On the route, we'll have sharing a node. So not just a publisher page, but actually share sort of a Tana UI-like construct. So you can share outside of Tana. And I think what I want to mention is that now with mobile and desktop notifications already in place, we're really getting close to where we can do the first steps on real collaboration, which is simple reactions and comments on nodes. And the cool thing about Tana is that this is, we already have an information graph. So we don't need to build a chat system from the get-go. We just need to add some of the chat properties to the knowledge graph. And then you already have a multi-threaded knowledge graph with, tagging, all the tools you use in the knowledge graph available in the chat. So I'm really looking forward to I think this is an example of the progress bar as well, that some small steps composed with the other thing we have can actually be really powerful. So that's the collaboration story. And if someone, I think I really want to say this, that I'll say it here. The work we've done on mobile, what that leads us to is a local synced database. So we're changing the architecture in many ways to say that we want much more of your data on the device you're working on. And that both enables, different kind of offline experience entirely, but it also makes it a lot easier for us to allow APIs. We don't have to take the biggest challenge up front. We can allow really powerful APIs that exploit all your data as much as you want because you're still running it on your own computer. So if you want to have a markdown export of everything you've tagged and monitor whenever they changed and updated and have that in a file tree, as long as that entire thing is just writing against the API running locally, you can spend as much CPU on it as you like. So this will unlock, I think, a lot of interesting modules that people have been asking for, maybe in a slightly different way, but still. And if you're not stopping me, I'm going to say there's 2 levels to this. So there's the low-level graph API that we'll have to provide, but then people really need to understand Tana very well. But I really like this idea of turning your super tags, your workspace, into an API, so that if you've implemented a bug tracker in Tana, you would literally get an API for creating bugs, finding bugs at the bug tracking level. And the reason why that's interesting is because then you can just take that API and give it to an AI, a code generation AI, and produce almost anything you can imagine and have a 2-way sync with Tana. So this is a super interesting area that we're getting closer to.
Excellent, Grim. I'll give you 2 more minutes to wrap up, if that's okay, and then we'll move on to a rapid fire round with some of the questions that came in.
Okay, so to wrap up, I wasn't in a wrap up mode, but I'll just go and say that. Then I'll just highlight that on the AI side, we also have a ladder here where everything we do in AI is pulling data out of the graph, pushing it through AI and putting some results back. And the precision by which you can pull out the correct data for the action. So if you have a bug tag and you have an action of setting a priority, in order for the AI to set the priority, it would really help if we could look at the bug, go and look at the feature the bug is reported against, the use cases the feature is reporting, the people targeted for that use case. Then you have a really good background, and probably you can look at the bug and decide, does it make sense for this to be a P0 or a P5? Without that if it only reads the bug report, that's harder. So giving this control here is what enables you to go from 40% to 90% in precision of these actions. So it's a really important thing for quality. Triggers, there's so much stuff cool here. But I just want to leave you with the thing we're working towards is actually going from object-oriented to agent-oriented, in the sense that many of the things you tag in Tana, again, I use the bug example. If I tag a node as a bug, it would be kind of nice if that bug knew that its purpose in life was to get resolved. And if it went and talked to the other bugs to see if some of them were too much overlapping and should merge into a new one, or if they even contacted the AI engineer to discuss whether it could, actually fix it without human intervention. So getting agency at that level in the system, I think is going to be super interesting. And that's not a 0 or 1. That is, the more of these AI triggers, these AI actions we add, the more the system starts behaving like that.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to have to leave it there, Grim. I know I'm doing it injustice by cutting you off, and we will have a roadmap in the future too. So this isn't our finalized roadmap for next year, but let's have a quick rapid fire round with a short response to a lot of these questions that come in. We'll give ourselves a few minutes to do this here. This one came in from Kamara. Olav, my question would be, with the emphasis on templates to get users up and running, what is the progress on an official template store?
Oh, it was almost ready for launch. So that's something that we really wanted to prioritize, but Android and iOS with editing and the starter content, there were so many things. Like when everything's focus is actually saying no when everything's important, not when nothing is important. So I think template store will come. I do not want to give a date, but everything's there. It's just actually creating the greatest templates we can, and it's not templates in Tana, right? So it's more of maybe an app store, maybe an agent store. Who knows? Let's see.
Yes. All right. Fantastic. This one comes from Ev. Will there be formulas in the future? That's actually mentioned a lot in the community.
Okay, I finally have the opportunity to answer that question, but there's been formulas in Tana for 3 years now, I think, or maybe 4. They've been there all along. It's been a constant debate of why can't we just launch the formulas. But so the answer is definitely yes in the future. There is some UI work and there is some constraints and formulas, but we will find a way to start simple so that you will have a formula where you can make some computations within a tag node that has limited challenges with it. The problem with formulas is it's Turing complete the moment you try to do something. And it's not just Turing complete, but it can kind of run in loops and compute things over the graph. So it's more about the control mechanisms you need than the actual formula to make it safe. But we will definitely find ways to start providing some formulas.
Excellent. Lee Dowdy asks about a web clipper. Tajay.
So I mentioned we hired an Electron expert. So instead of thinking about just a simple web clipper, we want to think more system-wide for something that can integrate into your operating system and not just be on the web. And obviously connect that with AI so that trying to understand the thing that you're capturing and trying to auto-organize it just like we are doing with voice. So that is one thing that we know is very high on everyone's wish list, including ours.
Fantastic. What about a canvas view in the future from EM? Grim.
Oh, I want one. I it's one of those things I really miss in Tana. It's a canvas view. But it's also one of these things that I'm pretty sure we can plug in. There are some, people have done a really good job of making pluggable canvas views. So it's a matter of having the time and the patience and maybe less, find the time to say that this is the time. It's sort of similar with the location and the map. It's just a matter of doing it, and we just need to sometimes sit down and say, should we rather do that than try to push something more advanced, because it's actually a hygienic feature level thing.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, next one from Daniel Enning. What about export?
Yeah, so the API things I just mentioned will enable a lot simpler ways for us to provide many different exports, and also for other people's. My hope is that if we have a few examples, and if the APIs are very simple and easy to tweak, then there could be a repository of exports popping up.
Excellent. And we might just finish with one final one from Kano to Olav, which was, how has the vision for Tana changed over the years? This is probably could go to all of you, but Olav, perhaps you to start.
Yeah, I think what I find comforting is that we haven't changed our vision. We have, like Toddy opened with, we said from the start we're going to reinvent how human teams and computer works together, and this is based on everything from Grimm's thoughts that he's been thinking about for 25 years to the thoughts around Doug Engelbart and his. You should go and watch the mother of all demos from 1968 on YouTube. It's insane. It has the outliner, it has hypertext, it has everything. So, but I think our vision has not changed. We have a steady course, and we are taking the steps in the right order. We might have wanted to take them a bit faster, but I think Grim laid out a lot of the things we're gonna work on this year, and I think our vision is still the same, and it's rock solid.
Excellent. Well, we have to move on to the next bit, but I just want to say thanks to you all. I'm probably very unpopular in the chat because I think people could listen to Grim for a lot longer. So apologies for cutting you off, and we'll update more of this later as well. So Tajay, Grim, and Olav, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, before you go, we just wanted to say thank you all for the amazing support today, and of course leading up to this. We're so blown away, and like Olav said, usually says, there's goosebumps everywhere. So thank you so much for everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, Olav, over to you, I think, because we have our next section, which will be you talking to some of our backers. So to get a bit of an insight into those that have supported us along the way. Thank you, Tajay. Thank you, Grim.
Thanks. See you guys. Bye.
Finally alone. All right, so let's see. Our first backer that's coming in is Phil. Is he here?
He is indeed.
Yes. So that's welcome, Phil. Hey, Phil.
Hey,
amazing.
Guys. Congratulations. The day has come.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us for the launch party. And what's the time in Australia?
8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, so it's That's not too bad.
Yeah.
No, so thank you so much for joining the session and for joining us. It's such an honor to have you part of our journey. And I just want to do a quick background on you, because I remember seeing your name in the community, and I was like, is that the one? Is that the... No, can it be the guy that was the CTO of Kazaa? Because Kazaa was really big for me. I was growing up. We were some guys in my hometown. Eirik, actually, one of our engineers, was part of this, and we had LAN parties, and we would meet up, and we would get high-speed internet from different locations, and we would actually download. We were big on piracy, by the way. I think to say now. But one of the things I remember jumping from Napster to Kazaa, and that was just such an amazing product. I remember downloading actually Stiff Upper Lip by AC/DC, which still is my favorite band. But yeah, so incredibly cool to have you part of this journey, Phil.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I mean, Tana has been a life changer for me. I mean, it's I work in such an information-rich and heavy environment that can be very difficult to sort of pull things together and keep under control. And at last, now I have an operating system to get that done. So big thanks to you and the team and all the work you've done.
Yeah. So I think you were actually one of our first users, back in 22. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I've been there since the very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was as an early user, what was the feature or the capability that what had the biggest impact on you?
I think my environment is very complex when it comes to the information, and it's very important that I'm across that information. I mean, for the crowd's knowledge, I'm now investing in what we call deep tech companies. So companies which have got science at the core. They could be rockets or quantum computing companies or synthetic biology businesses. So the first part of this is we need to really understand the science behind these things. Who are the companies that are the players? Who are the people? then we've got the actual deals that come in that we need to understand them. With, in venture capital, your network is everything. It's the most powerful currency, and everything is this explosion of nodes in Tana speak. It's just everything is linked to multiple other places, and you need very, very rapid recall, and I think only people with a superhuman memory can actually do the job without a tool. And so at the time I was flipping backwards and forwards between notebooks and all the different tools like Evernote, which were around at the time. Roam, of course, came on the scene for a while, and just trying to find that solution. But I was never able to recall the information. I was always being forced into ways of structuring my work and putting it into folders, which I was never very good at. So I couldn't. And the key insight is, unless you can find the information again, there's no point in writing the information down, really. And I was just trapped in that hellhole for my whole career, basically, up until that. And then along came you guys with super tags, of course, as the sort of the core innovation right at the beginning, which game changer. Just and I'm today I'm in Tana all day. I mean, it's not even a matter of minutes per day. It's kind of it's the spinal column of my day now.
How was it for you, like transitioning from the more traditional tools into Tana? Was it like, did you have to spend a lot of time learning it, or did it feel natural to you, or?
It was natural to me, and I think the problem when you move from one of the traditional tools and if you come at it with that kind of mindset, you're thinking about it all wrong, because you're trying to think on day one about what's my structure, how am I going to get this perfect system, and then how I'm going to connect all the dots. I think that the real game changer for me in Tana, which I got to sort of pretty quickly because of how you guys have helped us understand it, is just start typing, basically, and just start doing the work, and then start lightly tagging things. And I think what really impresses me is that after all this time, multiple years now in Tana, I'm constantly changing my structure, and what's my view, what's my portal into my life, and what is sort of surfacing up. It's constantly changing, but because of the sort of core design of how Tana works with the super nodes and being able to surface data in with searches and so on, I can just move that. I can move the window, as I need to, and as I find a way of optimizing things, and as you guys introduce a new innovation to help me do that better. And that's been the most impressive thing. So I think what can be hard with Tana is if you try and force it too quickly, you're kind of thinking about it wrong, I think. So it's been a fairly straightforward transition for me.
That's one of the big things, right? We want to have we want the software to adapt to us. We want the a workspace to adapt to us. We don't want to be the ones adapting to the workspace and the software, which is the way it's been for like 30 years with the files and the folders and the constant context switching. We got one thing I can see. We got 1 minute left. This is way too short. We should probably do a Tana talk or something. Like I was gonna ask you about your background in Kazan and some war stories, but what surprised you the most by using Tana compared to your initial expectations?
Well, I think it just keeps on giving. I guess I just thought it was an impossible task to even get close to an information system that I want and need, and it just sort of keeps giving me. It just keeps giving what I need. And of course, the AI stuff that is now such an important part of the platform. Right now I'm sort of figuring out what my custom agents are going to be like with the new release of that, which is very exciting. It just elevates. I'm not coping with my information now. I'm I'm rolling around in the mud in my information. I'm relishing in it. I'm loving it, and whether I wrote it yesterday or 2 years ago, it's still useful. And that's just what blows me away every single day.
That's what a quote to end this talk on. Thank you so much for being part of a journey, Phil, and let's do a much longer chat later.
Thank you to you and the team, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Phil. All right, so let's see. Next up is Namdi from Lightspeed. Hey, Namdi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. It's been havoc, I guess is the right word. Like just hands and feet everywhere. And no, it's been an amazing launch. The community has helped us so much, and we've had a lot of support on product launch. So that's been going amazing. We've had our articles, and now it's just being out there and learning and trying to do the next steps in the right order, I think. Yeah.
It's a good kind of havoc.
Yeah, it is. So for the audience, Namdi was our let me think so I don't say anything wrong. Yes, our first US VC. And the cool thing with Namdi was, so we launched our early access. We didn't want to call it alpha, so it was early access in 30th of September in 22. And I just posted on LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, on Twitter or somewhere, like, hey, I'm in SF 2 months later, like saying like everyone want to meet up and do pizzas and beers and just talk about Tana, and you showed up. That was amazing and such a coincidence. We weren't going to raise, but we always said that we don't pick our backers based on logos, but based on partners. And like talking to you, Namdi, was just a no-brainer. So, and the cool thing was that you were an early adopter before investing. So what convinced you to like that Tana was more than just another note-taking app?
It's a good question. It helps that I had used literally every other note-taking app. Like every single one I had used, I had tried out and usually churned off of. And so I was kind of well aware of, what works, what doesn't, where have people succeeded before, where have they kind of failed before. And it was just very clear to me, even before speaking to your team directly, that you were very in tune with that, like the kind of history of these applications. And it was very apparent in the kind of content you were putting out about the product. And then, when we actually finally met, I mean, I had the same reaction you did. It felt like talking to somebody who you just met, but you almost like you knew them for a very long time. Like it was like, these are my people. They get it. And so that was kind of immediately apparent, and it's been true ever since.
Yeah. So and as both a user and an investor, like what are you most excited about when it comes to Tana and our roadmap and where we're going?
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm most excited about is, continuing to push Tana in the direction of, taking actions on behalf of users. If you think about AI broadly, and really technology broadly, there's a lot that's happened around almost like information processing. Like you think about an LLM in some sense, you put in some text and you get some text out, and that's some kind of like complex, almost like data transformation of unstructured information. And that's very valuable, but the thing that really unlocks almost like a non-linear kind of step function increase in the value that you can generate is when the thing is taking actions on your behalf. And it's the thing that technology, especially the digital forms of technology, have historically, not been able to touch for various reasons, both because of capabilities and because users didn't trust the systems to do these things. But I think that AI can really help enable. And so I'm just super excited for everything that Tana is going to literally do on behalf of its users, and is very, very exciting.
Yeah, and how do you see our approach? Like you're talking about LLMs coming into the mix, and how do you see our approach being different than others? Like I guess you see a lot of companies. How many deal flows do you go through a month?
Oh man, I shouldn't say. It would reveal too much. Let's just say it's a lot,
yeah.
and most of them are candidly don't necessarily stand out. But I think what stands out about Tana and in particular kind of what you're doing around AI, I would call out two things. So one thing that comes up repeatedly among people who kind of really get this stuff is that you need to have the right data model.
Yeah.
Having the right data model makes the life of the AI that's trying to act on your behalf so much easier. And you guys from the very beginning kind of laid down the foundations for what the right data model kind of looks like, this kind of node-based, graph-based paradigm, super tags, all the associated metadata, et cetera. I mean, this is just rich information for these models. And a lot of teams get started with AI and they try to apply it to some pre-existing thing that didn't really take that into account. And then it's like, it doesn't work as well as they thought. And then they have to redo their data model and it's kind of a mess. You guys lay down the foundations right from the start, which is incredible. And then the other thing I would call out is, everything you're doing around voice. I think this is also an area where there's sort of this interesting bifurcation among AI companies. It's either they're kind of, let's just say kind of a generic software application that is doing some AI stuff and maybe hasn't really made voice a first-class citizen, or they're kind of like a voice-specific application, like some kind of voice transcription thing, meeting notes, what have you. You've done this really nice thing where you've put voice kind of at the center of it. But it's so much more than just voice, but voice is going to be so important nonetheless. And the more I use AI in my personal life, the more I'm on board with your thesis that voice is the future and it needs to kind of be embedded in every part of the product. So, I mean, kudos to you guys for identifying that early. And it continues to be a point of distinction for Tom.
Yeah, and I guess you and I talked about that when we had coffee like 2 years ago, right? And then don't you think that voice is going to eat the keyboard? It's because voice is faster than anything. And we know that capitalism hunts productivity. And as long as voice is where the margins are, that's where we're going, right? And it's so fast. It's even faster than you're thinking sometimes. How often haven't you spoken out of turn or whatever? So it's, no, I think that's, yeah, I totally agree with you. That's the things that really, really excites me about what we're doing. And of course, the super tags. And what potential do you see in the super tags, like beyond their current implementation?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny for me because, I invest in a lot of kind of very technical companies, in part because I myself have been kind of self-taught technical ever since I was a kid, taught myself to code growing up, what have you. And so the notion of sort of like this object-oriented paradigm comes very naturally to me, and it's very naturally appealing. But I also understand that not everybody, if you haven't been writing code in your life, it doesn't necessarily immediately click for you. But it's extremely, extremely powerful, and there's a reason that most software development is done that way today. And so in some sense, the thing that I'm most looking forward to with regards to super tags, it's not any particular feature. It's more about just continuing to expand the power of super tags while also making them easier to use and grok for the typical person out there. And I know that typically people think about this trade-off between power and ease of use. But I don't think we're at the point where that needs to be a trade-off. I think you can both make super tags way more powerful and way easier to use, and that frontier is still way out there, and there's still a lot more that we can do. And so that's probably what I'm most excited about when it comes to super tags, is that general notion. But, yeah.
Agreed. It's the beating heart of Tana, right? And I sometimes keep people like saying like, oh yeah, but super tags are like, it just adds fields. It's like, ooh, you don't get it. There's probably other founders like that's dialed in here. And what advice would you have for them? Like, how do they grab your attention, or like Lightspeed's attention? Like, you're a top tier VC. What do they need to do to like attract your kind?
Yeah, I mean, in some sense, they need to do a little bit of what we were talking about earlier, which is, one, understand what's come before. Like do your homework, like understand the history of the space you're in, kind of navigate the idea maze, as some people would say, and just kind of learn where all the kind of potential landmines are. And then two, based off that knowledge, like actually build something different and interesting and like unique. And like there's sort of this term that I really like called counter positioning, where you sort of take what's out there already and then you kind of build something that kind of in a purposeful way kind of covers the gaps of what's come before and kind of avoids some of the pitfalls and whatnot. And I feel like you all did that, super well. And that always resonates very nicely with us when we're meeting a team. And so that's what I would say. I mean, I think if you do those two things, you'll be great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Namdi. Again, just like with Phil, way too short. Let's do some Tana talks like later down the line. Thank you so much for being part of this journey, and super proud to have you on board.
Yeah, of course. Congrats to you and the whole team.
All right. So next we go to Siki. Let's see if he's ready. Hey, Siki.
Hey, Rob. Good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm good. Or it's like I told Namdi, it's hands and feet, and we're everywhere. I think we slept like 3 hours
wow.
today. Yeah.
But congratulations.
No. Thank you. It's been amazing, and thank you for joining us for this talk. Like, it's such an honor to have you part of our journey, and I must say, with your experience, with the way you've done everything from building products, founding companies, and we're so happy that you're part of this.
Thank you. Honor is all mine. It's a real pleasure to be with such a great team working on such an important problem.
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk to you about was more because of your background. Like, I think it's so interesting to like get some stories from you or and what you've learned through the years, like in building a company, because I think that resonates with a lot of the people that's tuning in here. So do you have any war stories? By the way, sorry. So you've been head of product at Zynga. You've launched and founded. You're the CEO and CFO of Runway, which is an amazing company. People should go and check it out. You did Postmates. You did Sandbox VR, and but I must say your Runway launch was out of this world. I think it's one of the absolute greatest launches I have ever seen. Maybe you can do that? Can you talk us like through the thinking behind that and what you did? And
so I think it starts with our website. We wanted to push forward the state of the art in terms of SaaS branding and marketing. And one of the things that everyone points to is linear, right? Like, that is the canonical SaaS websites, like, oh, I want it to feel like linear. And of course, you end up with 100 companies that all look like linear that you never heard of. The only one you remember is linear. And so I think there's a pretty important takeaway from that we think about internally quite a bit, which is being like something good is not that great. Being the first and pushing forward the state of the art such that people point to that, it's like, I want to be like that, is far more interesting. And the impact for maybe like 50% effort, maybe 100% more effort, is a 10x, 100x the impact. And that requires thinking from first principles and having the courage to try something new and not doing something just because everyone else has done the same thing. So if you look at, a SaaS website, everyone has like the stock photos of people in the office shaking hands. Why do they do that? It's not because it's actually good. It's because everyone else does it, right? And so we really wanted to not do that with our website. And we thought about what speaks to us as a company and our identity. And we thought some combination of consumer branding and product with what we do that is clever, that's like very well polished and designed, works. And when we launched a website, it was very viral. And so, how does it connect to our launch? So about, I think 6 months, it was about a year later, we did this launch and we said, okay, what can we do with a launch that is kind of like that? And we worked backwards from, okay, like what is, it was very much a team effort. We worked backwards from what would get people to talk about this launch as much as we can, right? And it had to be something that hasn't been done. And so one of the mental models we have is like, hey, what does everyone else do when they launch something? And how do we just like 10x that. And one of the things that people do was they would give out swag, like t-shirts. One of my portfolio companies, a company called Anti-Metal, did something really great, and they took over the internet when they gave everyone pizza, right? And pizza. It was like fairly successful. So we thought, okay, this is really interesting. You do something branded, do something that's physical, that's delivered, but how do we make it really awesome? So we had this idea of like, okay, well, we're Runway and we have this flight thing going on. So what if we did like really nice flight jackets, but have them be individually numbered with a badge and like have like a flight tag and be very like branded. And we thought this is going to be cool. We'll send it to our customers and some influencers and investors, and they'll tweet about for how the jacket looks, right? But then we had this great idea where we thought, okay, how do we make the medium the message? Like, how do we make the delivery of this as memorable as possible? And we're just talking about different ways we can box it, different ways to package it. And just like in my head, I was like, I just had this idea of like, there's a countdown timer and it's locked. And all unlocks at the same exact minute, and everyone's going to be excited. But there's this great mystery when you get it, and you don't even know what it is. And that was inspired by J.J. Abrams, oddly enough. He has a great TED Talk. You know, he's like the director of Lost and Star Wars, and about the box, and you don't know what's in it, and a lot of it is a mystery, right? And there's not enough mystery in SaaS, right? In marketing in general, it's like, oh, here's what we do, and here's like something mysterious. So we thought it was a cool idea. We didn't know how well it was going to work, but what was cool is we had Nikita Beer and a bunch of people, when they got this thing, they're like, what is this? In your mail, there's a digital countdown timer. You don't know what it is. And people started tweeting about it. We got a few million impressions that way. And I would reply, people were like, what is it? And I said, it's a bomb.
I thought you were going to go the other way, but no, yeah.
Well, it's a bomber jacket anyway.
Yeah.
And then along the same time, and everyone was like pretty excited about it. And then we had this great video that people shared. So I don't know what to take away from that, but it's like, I guess like creativity and thinking from first principles and just trying something new is really underrated, especially in marketing. And the default is like, let's just do what everyone else has done. And like, there's a best practice. There's something that everyone else says is all that's like going to work well. But I think marketing unfairly rewards innovation and creativity over more than other functions. And you can do a lot if you're willing to be creative. Yeah,
and what an amazing story. So you've gone from big gaming to consumer to fintech, and I have to say, like, Runway doesn't feel like an accounting system, fintech system. It feels like actually like a work platform, or it's super impressive. But what's the universal truth that you found building successful companies that's like true for every cohort of companies you built?
You know, I don't know that I built a really successful company. I hope Runway might be the first. I mean, we certainly have exits, but I've certainly learned a lot building some mildly successful companies that have been acquired that I wish could have done a lot better. And I think probably the most important thing I've learned is what attention that immediately comes up with any product development process is like, how much do you listen to your customers and respond to data? And how much do you trust your instinct and your intuition? And Linear says one thing, but maybe some other company says a different thing. And now there's founder mode, right? Like Airbnb was data-driven, now it's not. And I find that like my personal view of it is that the mistake is believing that they are zero sum.
Yeah.
And I think the right framework is you want to have a very strong, clear opinion on where you're going, what the vision is, and that should be very intuition driven. But the path to get there, you should be actually quite flexible on. And then it involves talking to users and informing your intuition through data and through learning. And yeah, I wish I had that framework when I was earlier in my career, because I struggled, and you end up sort of whiplashing between the two and not quite sure which one you should do at any given point in time. But I think the right answer is both.
Yeah, really good. Is this 10 minutes already? Oh no, this was a bad idea. We need to get you back on. Like, I told that to both Namdi and Phil as well. Like, okay, thank you for taking 10 minutes out of your day for us, Iki. And thank you so much for being part of this
course.
journey. And we'll do a longer talk. We'll set up a longer talk because you got so many interesting perspectives that we want to tap into. And yeah, thank you for helping us on this.
Thanks for having me.
All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, CK, such a this vast experience. So let's get him in, and I think we need to do some Tana talks or something. So now we're gonna go over to Sheila, which is the managing director of Tola Capital. They led our Series A. Sheila has an amazing background. There she is. Hey, Sheila.
Hi, so excited to be here. Thank you.
Where are you? Are you in Austin? Are you in Seattle?
I'm in Boston.
You're in Boston. All right. All right. Thank you so much for joining us and being part of this journey, Sheila. I can tell you all that Sheila has been amazing. She joined as a lead investor and helped us so much already. You joined in May, right?
We're just happy that we got in, you know.
Oh, we're happy to have you. So a bit of a backstory. We actually, so this is kind of fun. Gloria, which is a friend of Sheila's, I guess. She's one of our
Gloria's
angels.
fabulous.
She sent me a email was it in 22? Yeah, summer 22.
Summer 22, yeah.
Yeah, saying like, you have this amazing investor, you need to meet her, you should go do breakfast. And I'm like, yeah, we're on the west coast of Norway. She's probably in Oslo. So Norway it's a small country, but it can be pretty vast. And she was like, no. She said Storfjord. I think it's like an hour from you guys. And fast forward an hour later, a day later, we had our first meeting and our breakfast, and it was amazing. I think we spent 5 hours talking about productivity. Right?
It didn't end. It was great. It was people talking about productivity who absolutely are in love and obsessed with productivity. So we couldn't stop.
No, it was amazing. So, but what was initially caught your attention about Tana? Like you see a lot of deals, and the market has been flooding with people that want to like reinvent productivity. Why do you believe that Tana was the right?
You know, we meet with a lot of productivity companies. I used to work at Microsoft. They have some productivity tools, and when it comes down to actually putting the user in the middle and changing the way that people work, changing the pattern of work, changing the pleasure of work, changing all these things. You know, email is this great productivity enhancement. And how many of you can hand on heart say, oh my God, I wish I could get less email, right? Like it is productivity, but then it creates a different paradigm problem. Yeah. And the thing that I loved about Tana from a vision perspective, you know, all of you as founders were just passionately committed to solving this in a way that put humans in the middle of all of their craziness in their lives and respected that we all have too many commitments and crazy lives and crazy professional lives and personal lives and all of these things together. But that this product and the vision, you wanted to make that seamless and easy and relaxing. And I often talk about like, oh my God, I wake up in the middle of the night, I realize I didn't do these 12 things, and then I can't go back to sleep. But with Tana, I don't, right? If I can keep all of my different graphs, all of the different Sheilas that I'm deploying to do all these different projects, because I hate saying no to stuff, especially not to, you know, to people like Olaf. If I can keep all of that organized through this system, well, that system brings up my capability. It does the work of getting work done, which is one of the most important things to me as I think about how valuable then I can go in and actually do the hard thinking or do the creative work or do these elements of it. But I'm not spending all my time getting organized or getting organized between all my disparate teams. And that was the vision from day one. It was very clear that you had a very unique perspective on productivity.
I think we want to kill the busy work, right? I think that's where we start. The work about work.
We're all begging.
Yeah, who want to do work about work? So
you've seen a lot of companies trying to tackle the information overload, and what makes our approach different, do you think, for what you're seeing? And with your background from Microsoft, not to slag on them, they've done a lot of great things.
I think the knowledge graph is like that you exist, this entity, Olaf, exists in all of these different graphs. And the technical sort of innovation and invention behind that then applied to great human experiences and human interfaces like this, what we're doing with this release with voice. And so what you're saying is, hey, I'm going to bring the best tech that actually truly represents how you exist in the world and exist across all these multiple projects. But then I'm going to make it in the background, right? So often when we meet, we have Tana running in the background, taking notes, having action item follow-ups, having all these elements that we need to be able to do. And then from there, we're trying to say, okay, what's the next logical step? And the interface for how that all gets done is really, really special. It's really unique. It's really different. And I think that takes deep, deep, deep tech, then made super simple on the front.
Yeah, and you are in deep tech. Like, one of the things I found super interesting about Tola is that you're deep into enterprise and teams, but you're also deep into productivity, and it's such a fantastic combination, especially for us to draw on your background. But what's, as someone that has been in like deep into enterprise and deep into productivity and tech, how do you see the Tana evolving as AI capabilities advance? Like, and the reason I ask this is because I know Sheila has been pushing us a lot on the agentic side, which is super good. But could you just give your thoughts around that?
I mean, so if you think about these graphs, right, you exist in each of these different projects, relationships, right, that are then evinced technically through these knowledge graphs. Each of those graphs should have some sort of agentic assistance happening in the way that you determine for that graph. This is not my idea. This is Grim and Tarche and Olav and the Tana team coming together to say, hey, how are we going to have agentic assistance across your knowledge graph, programmable to different scenarios? And one thing I'll say is we do run Tola on Tana. And as such, one of the things that's been fun is we're more organized. There is less work to say synced across the team members, disparate time zones, hybrid work, kind of the whole thing. We're always traveling, as you can see right now. And then concurrent with that, we want the perms of that agentic world to be different depending on what project we're working on, what scenario we're working on. And being able to automate that and bring that into each of these workflows is super valuable, very, very, very important, interesting, and the next step of this. And this is your vision. So I'm just parroting that back.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I think I told you when we met in Norway, actually, remember I told you about we were at, like, when we did our fundraising in 21, everyone was like, what are you doing AI? That's a kind of the thing of the 90s. It's all crypto. It's all blockchain. What are you doing on blockchain? That was the focus, right? But now you can see that the people have understood that the AI and the knowledge graph is what's going to actually solve productivity, and it's actually going to create a productivity growth again. So it's an amazing spot for us to be in. I have one last question for you, and that is, there's probably, I was asked Namdi to say, there's probably a lot of founders looking here, or people that have ideas. What do they have to do to grab your attention, to grab Tola's attention? What are you looking for? Do you have any tips for them?
Yeah, well, I'd say, look, take one lesson from this team. If nobody paid you to work on productivity, you would still work on it, right?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
such a mission orientation and such an obsession with the product and the problem space that you're solving. There's a love for your customers. There's a deep desire to serve those customers in a way that's different and innovative and brings new solutions to them. So, like, work on something you really, really care about. Also, work on something you can be really good at that has real resonance and is a huge problem for people. Solve a problem. Don't be tech looking for a solution, right? Solve someone's problem. Do that in an aggressive way that really brings them into the forefront of what, all of this AI is really incredible. Well, what can you actually do with it to solve human specific problems, to make people's lives better, to make businesses better? All of these things together, and just, enjoy it, have fun. This team of founders, and the culture, percolates to the entire Tana team. They just absolutely have their spheres of greatness. They absolutely love spending time together. The team has an incredibly strong work ethic, but also a really strong mission orientation and a really good time together. So work with people that you really have that with. You have that just incredible chemistry, passion for problem solving, and enjoy. I mean, it's a great time to be an entrepreneur. We learned
Yeah,
last
it
week
is.
apparently all AI is way cheaper than we thought. So this is great.
Amazing. And on that, we'll end. Sorry for the 10 minutes flies by, Sheila.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being part of this journey.
Congrats on the
Bye.
launch. Bye.
Thank you. All right, so now you heard from some of our backers. We have many more, but we didn't want to fill this for hours and hours. And look at that handsome bunch of dudes. Yes, you could have told me. You could have told me what to wear. You're
I got
outshining me again.
30-second view from Braga wearing a tuxedo. So I found this in the cupboard quickly.
Amazing. Yeah. All right, guys, you can take it over from here.
Yeah, amazing. So many great insights. And yeah, you're right. Each one of them could have been a hour-long session. So let's try and do that in the future.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. That was great.
It was fantastic. And we are getting there, Braga. It feels like it's been an incredibly big and important day and so much activity going on. And I think we should just keep talking for as long as possible. So all of the Oslo office have to stay a little bit later.
Yeah, do you think we should?
Yes. Yeah. Should we check in on them?
Yeah, let's check in on Oslo. Let's see if there's someone still awake in Oslo, in that part of the world. Hey, everyone.
Hey. We're alive. What did you say about staying later?
I missed that one, Ali.
What did you say about staying later?
Yes, we're only just starting. You've got about 3 hours left. So
okay.
I'm only joking. Let's go to some interviews, I think. We're going to jump to the Oslo office and run through a few interviews with the team, as well as a few people around the world. So I don't know if Asker is ready to go, but let's start there. And let's keep it snappy, Braga.
Yeah, let's keep this snappy. All right. See you later.
Hello. Yeah, you could have told me as well.
Impromptu. That's the test. Right. Do you have an impromptu tuxedo ready to go?
I don't have a tux in the office.
All right, okay. Great. We're going to do this quickly, and we're going to also you're probably the most senior person in the team we're going to talk to tonight, so you have the responsibility of a bit of a retrospective of some of the cool things that the team has done over the last few years, and also because you were actually pretty pivotal to some of the stuff that we're going to show. So let's take a quick journey through the past. I pulled out a few notes that were from the team graph and elsewhere, just to show some stuff. So you can see this. Do you remember what this was?
Yeah, I do recall this offsite. It was about 5 minutes from my house, but it's in Oslo. It's one of the first meetup that Ali, Eirik, and I joined, I believe.
And what is on the board is what we want to know. We and the community want to know.
I guess the green might be stuff that we were working on, and then I'm sure there's a lot of juicy stuff in the pink Post-it notes that nobody's ever seen. Maybe some of the formula stuff that Grim was teasing earlier on. I don't know.
Yes. All right, we need the decoded message. And this was the first public Tana website. Do you remember it?
Yeah. A very literal interpretation of a stealth teaser type illustration there. Yeah, I remember this one. I remember this copy. I was pleased with myself. I think we threw out all of it when we did the next iteration.
Excellent. Tajay's corrected that. It's the second one, actually. So it was early on. Do you remember what you were trying to achieve with this website when it went live?
I remember a lot of feedback from friends that I was testing this on, that they did not understand a word. Like, what are you trying to say? Because we were at this point in real stealth. Like, nobody had seen this product. The community were about 20 dudes from like friends and family. So yeah, this was so early on that we didn't want to spill anything. So yeah, there's a lot of words, but they don't say much.
No.
They say a lot. They say a lot. And I've yet to see you in a cape, so that's overdue as well. There was also some of the copy here talking about difference between information and documents, which really feels like a resonant message that we've had for a long time.
Yeah, I think this section is still very much correct. And we talked a lot about the problem and the vision, but not about the solution.
Yep. And also, this was our first ever hiring page, I think. That was also up at the time. Very cool to see that. The first one we were looking for was AI and machine learning. So even back in the early days, that was a very foundational piece of Tana.
Yeah.
I think, was it Ali who did this? This might take a bit of time to load. I won't play the music over the top, but I think this was Ali's cinematic debut as a director.
I think you're right. You should turn on Ali's commentary behind this.
Yes, we should.
I don't recall when this was from, but yeah, this was Ali probably procrastinating on something that he didn't want to touch and found this more interesting.
Yeah. And so you were looking for people around Oslo, or you knew the team to begin with before you started, or how did that actually occur?
No, so actually, both Ali and Eirik, who's also my brother, they were both involved before me, around the same time that I joined. And then from that team of them, 3 founders and the 3 of us, I think we mostly hired from our networks initially, and for quite a while, like several of the later hires are from our networks as well, or from the later hires networks. But yeah, we were not specifically looking for people in Oslo, and it's almost a coincidence, I think, that we happen to have quite a few who are co-located in Oslo. We consider ourselves a remote company.
Excellent. And so we're going to keep moving. This was from 2022. So, Prager, any questions from this?
Yes. What is in the barbecue and whose chair is empty?
If you ever took the photo, I think what you're looking at here is actually a car elevator from mid-century sometime. It has now been closed because of this behavior.
There you go. Yeah, and our website started to get more and more sophisticated and improved, and this was a really nice magical moment that some might remember, the hover over that showed the graph, etc. What was the thinking behind this?
Yeah, this is all Seb. He implemented this stuff, like he coded this animation by hand. It is, so we've been struggling a little bit with explaining why Tana is different on a data model level, because it's kind of important to understand some of the underlying differences from other tools, because at the surface, we're a text editor. There are plenty of text editors. So being able to visualize these relationships and these object types are an important part of telling that story.
Excellent. We moved to the language of the Everything OS, which was also a revelation.
Great title. That's a great tagline for Tana.
I think maybe that came from Brage. I'm not sure, but it sounds like it.
Yeah. Think type tag as well, one that seems to resonate as well.
Yeah.
Collect, connect, and collaborate, which
also really on finding 3 words that made sense for each section.
Yes, here we go too. Find, filter, and focus, which is another key idea with obviously search nodes. Very powerful. And Braga found this one today, which must have been a draft.
Yeah, I don't know if you actually published this one.
Yeah. No, this site served us well for quite a few months, I think. This was what was live when we did this release.
Yes, so I'm going to play this in full because this was a moment for a lot of people, I think, that where they found out about Tana as well as saw the power of it, as well as it was just so slick as a production video and really sold the message. So how did this go in terms of putting it together and the thinking behind it?
So the release itself was a real crunch from the entire team, working on all aspects of both the product and the website and everything. But this particular video, it was done in like 3 days. We were pushing it to the end because we had more important things to do. And then like, it kind of looks a little bit dull if you're not able to see the product. Because at this point, what we released was not access to the product. It was access to put yourself on a waiting list to someday try the product. So we felt we had to show a bit more. So we threw this together in After Effects a couple of days before the release.
Yes, and this was very much, as you say, there was a sign up to join the waiting list on this rather than actually getting to access the product, and it launched a theme that has been resonant in the community ever since, but particularly at fever pitch at the time. I think you, Tana team, announced an update on invites publicly, and then there was just all of these messages constantly about joining the waitlist and getting access to Tana, as well as some of the people who we really love in the community. It's really fun to go back and have a look at them, still waiting to get access to Tana as well. It led to us actually having to release a few updates on invites, like almost political statements about the importance of it, and they still kept coming in. And people use different methods, like Theo here, who tried to bribe us with 1,000 different emojis thinking that it was going to make a difference, and also others to Emmanuel. So this was probably one of my favorites. Reddy, who has been our most active person in the Slack ever since, and clearly an incredible community member. He's complaining about being, as a waitlisted person, it's hard to contribute to the Slack without an invite to the product, which is hard, but it still didn't stop him from, he'd already put in 15 feature requests by this point, even though he hadn't had access to Tana yet. So very cool. And you might remember this one because it was also one that I saw.
Barry.
Yeah, Barry, the Ginseng bomb. He put a thread publicly about the difficulties of the waitlist, and it was really painful to watch and read. But then when he did get access, he left a great message, and you wrote this into a great blog post called Tana Makes Me Feel Dumb, which we can link to later, and kind of celebrates that kind of process, the fact of where we were in 2022 with the invites and so forth. So really nice to see, a great milestone. Let's keep moving. 2023, the message on the website kind of stayed the same, but also evolves a little bit. Talk a little bit about the idea of all-in-one workspace.
Yeah, so this, again, it is quite hard to communicate Tana in a single illustration or a video or even a one-liner like this. So at this point, this website is still the one we have live. This is now the established framework that we're publishing within. And what we found here is the same truth that I believe a lot of companies in our sort of category have realized, that you have to market for individual target audiences. So this is the first time we identified several individual use cases where Tana makes sense, like for students or various types of professionals, and several team use cases where we make sense for product teams or engineering teams or whatever it should be. And this video is recorded where you just saw the entire team sit. So it's like, this is in the Oslo office. It's Brage and I winging it. And Brage yelling, "Shut up, we're taping," to the rest of the office.
Yeah, not my proudest day of filming.
Excellent. Sorry, Brage, to cut you off. I saw Ingrid mention in the chat there's a Porsche in the office around here too somewhere.
Yes, there is a Porsche. And I mentioned the car elevator. We're on the 5th floor, I think, and because that car elevator is closed and out of service, the Porsche will not go out either.
Okay, right. So yeah, also clearly our community is growing too, and we also had the offsite. This is, I think, who is this? Grim and Stian, I think, doing some. Oh, it could be me actually. Yeah, look at the fine technique of skiing. That's available there. Yeah, and clearly, the team's growing as well at this point. This was a little bit harsh to see on the website.
Brutal times.
But yeah, very good. 2024. Obviously, again, getting more and more refined, as well as a focus now with AI, which is where the world's most powerful nodes, where AI can do real work. So first real mentions of AI on the website in a really direct or specific way, as well as some real use of voice following on from Braga stuff.
Yeah.
I did want to give a shout out though. I think we had our first community office hours in 2022. I went back and had a look at that this week, and it was really cool to see some of the messages that were in there. So the problem description or problem space that we're exploring, this was from Tarjay and Olav, who gave an overview, and information is siloed and scattered. That still remains a problem we're exploring. A lot of information and work doesn't fit anywhere. The idea of using, Gmail drafts as a way to capture information because you don't know where it goes. And also from that first one, AI assistant for your team. So clearly been a long-standing theme for us as well. So really cool to see the trajectory, as well as both in terms of the message as well as consistency. And then from there, obviously, the team is growing quickly too. So this was from last year, I think.
Yes, it was last summer. This is roughly the team we are now. We have a couple of recent hires, but this generally is the team we have now. It's a fantastic group of people and a privilege to work with all of them.
Yeah. Some definite cheaters in that competition.
Aside from this experience, this was a terrible loss for many of us.
Yeah, the team was amazing.
There you go. Great. And then let's move on to today. And there was a new coat of paint that was applied to the website only a few days ago, perhaps, that went live. So can you talk us through this?
Yes. So I have not personally been deeply involved in this. This is largely Hilde's work and Olav and others on the team. They've done a brilliant job elevating this website to represent what we've now shipped on mobile and some of the latest improvements we've done on the web as well. But as you can see, we're now sort of focusing on the AI and specifically the voice-enabled workflows, even though the core of Tana is still the same. We have to pick a good story to focus on when we talk about it. So this is a fantastic place to be, I think, today, and the enthusiasm we're getting in this stream and on the Product Hunt launch today proves, I think, that we're onto something really, really good here.
Fantastic. Yeah. Do you want to quickly mention what's next or anything you're working on as a focus, Oscar?
Yeah, so Grim already mentioned quite a few things, maybe too many things when he mentioned formulas. I saw there was some enthusiasm in the comments about vertical fields and a few other details on the not a roadmap. But yeah, one of the things he mentioned I think is worth repeating, and that is the workflow support. So basically, every user of Tana today is using it to track some type of workflow. But they do so by combining these very generic mechanisms, agnostic mechanisms. So they create status fields, they create assignee fields, they roll their own systems, and everybody's system is slightly different, which is fantastic that it's possible to do something like that. But it's also challenging because the system doesn't know what your status field means, or what we don't even know what is a status field amongst your fields on a system level. So bringing all of that stuff into the core of Tana, native understanding of things like statuses and assignees and relationships between things will be a very important focus area for us going forward.
Awesome. Well, very good to hear, and some awesome insights and reflections too. Thanks for all the work you've done so far, Asko, and obviously all the rest of the team in Oslo too, which we'll start to talk to others. But yeah, real pleasure to talk to you as well as come in and see the stuff you're doing.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So before we go on to the next guest, I think we need to check in with the Product Hunt site and see what's going on. Yes. And this is just for the audience. It's not just for my insatiable curiosity, obviously.
How many times have you done that today, Braga?
The refresh button? Oh, man. Yes. Yeah, just every minute of the entire day. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's been such an amazing... incredible. Yeah.
And, what a feeling. Yeah. What a feeling.
Yeah, because, you never know before, like none of us knew before we launched, like, are we just going to be shouting into the void? You don't know.
Yes. I mean, you have so much interaction with people in the community, and that's what we spend a lot of the time in, all of the team. And then to see on a public forum like that, just so much energy and positivity, and it's just a wave of enthusiasm. It just felt so incredible.
yeah, so thank you so much to everyone who's supported us already. And if you haven't, it would mean the world for us if you would support us on the product hunt launch. This is super visible to everyone else, which is amazing for Tana and for the community. So yeah, thank you again.
All right, next up, Braga. We normally talk to a lot of the same faces. Obviously, we love talking to all of the team, and it's hard to kind of not go back to the same faces we love talking to, like Ingrid and Stian and so forth. But we thought today, with a bit of a launch, it's an opportunity to talk to some people we haven't spoken to before, some new members of the team, as well as ones that have perhaps been here for a while, but we haven't really had the chance to talk to yet. So
yeah.
What do you think about that? Should we look for some new people to talk to?
Let's absolutely do that. So who do you want to bring on?
I think we're going to bring in Joel. Joel.
All right. Let's see here. Joel, hey, how's it going?
Hey,
Mate, Raj. How are you guys doing?
Hey.
You're a popular man right now in the Tana community.
Am I?
Yes. Yep. You've done the thing that people have asked for a long time. So it's been incredible to see both the response as well as just how good you've been engaging with the community as well as making it part of the process.
Yeah, thanks. So, yeah, I'm very happy that Tana Android is live for the more distracted people. So today I will not be showing a video, or we can show a video, but you can actually just go to Google Play and install it. So it's a great
Would you
milestone.
like to show the video? We have it ready.
Yeah, you can play the video in the background.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So, and it was just in time for the launch. So we are really happy with this milestone. I'm glad no one in Android team promised a nice bat or something else. I definitely wouldn't survive. Maybe Thomas would. So this is live on the Google Play Store. It's an early access open testing version, which basically means like anyone can install it, but just be aware this is still like a developer testing with some known issues and missing features. But we really wanted to get this out to the community. And the reason for that is that from the first user tests we did, it was obviously that even though it had some issues and missing features, it provided great value already. So the users start using it daily, and it was the missing piece of Tana in their workflows. So we didn't want to delay this any longer. And the other reason is that like the feedback from users will now guide us to the next step of polishing the app. So yeah, you can see it in the background, the current state of the app. In terms of features and what we're looking to do next, the priority is really to get the feedback from this open testing state and fix any issues and things that are not working for our users, and polishing the app and to reach the next milestone, making sure that it meets the Tana's high standards. Do you have questions, Matt and Brad?
Yeah, certainly can run through a few. So yeah, can you explain what the developer version is, as well as like the state of it for someone who's encountering this in the wild?
Yeah, so basically you will see that that warning, and there are some missing things. Like for new users, you need to be an existing user of Tana, so there is still not an onboarding, and there are some known issues. And the idea is that you can use the app and also provide feedback either in the Slack community, or there is even a link in the Play Store that you can just share what's not working for you. There are some next steps that we want to do after polishing the app and fixing issues. For instance, the editing that we just have in iOS. We want also to bring that to Android, and we think what we did already in iOS is the building block for Android. So there are learnings there and components that we'll reuse. So something that will be one of the next steps.
And are you looking at particular features? Obviously, we've had a few people in the using iOS are kind of jealous of the widgets and stuff that you've been working on too. So there's more to come, obviously. But yeah, are there particular features that you're focusing on in more than others, or just broadly testing at this point?
Yeah, so our priority now is just testing. The editing will be one of the next priorities. In terms of the widgets, we have a very simple widget right now, just to make it really easy to capture, and it's part of what we were looking for to make it smoother and very easy to capture anything to the app. So that will be the next steps for sure.
Excellent. Okay, how can people learn more? It's available in the Play Store now, as well as we have a Slack channel dedicated to it. Is that the best way to jump in and give you some feedback?
Yes, test pilots Android. You can jump there, share any thoughts, ideas, whatever your impressions with the app.
Awesome. All right, Joe. Well, that was just a quick update, but very cool to hear, and clearly a big milestone for us all. And super excited for the work that you and Thomas have done, and just really cool to see the rollout.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining, Joe.
Thank you. Bye.
You're muted, Matt.
Yes. Next, we're going back to the Oslo office, for Knut Eirik, I think.
We are indeed. Let's see if we can get Oslo back.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going, Knut Eirik?
It's going good. How about you?
Yeah, still excited. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
Yes, it has. It's been a long couple of weeks, but this is still exciting.
Yeah. Okay, let's quickly jump in and get going. So just for everyone in the community, just wanted to welcome you and say hello. Can you just explain your role in Tana and what you're doing with us?
Yeah, hi. I'm head of DevOps, so I'm ensuring that our developers can work fast and hopefully have little regressions when we ship new features. So I'm doing all kind of build systems and operations related stuff.
Incredible. We've had obviously we launched a lot of cool stuff in Tana, but clearly the team is really focused on quality too, and polish and the edge cases and so forth that the community are well aware of too. So what are some of the problems that you want to tackle in your role?
Well, as Tana continues to grow both in scale and complexity, it's more essential that being a developer is easy. So it's easy to have the whole setup running. It's so that you can work fast and you can have as little errors as possible, which gets harder and harder as the complexity and scale increases. So being able to release as often as we want, being able to gradually roll out new features so that if we detect errors, we can stop it early, and of course be confident that the things we ship actually works the way we want them to, are going to be the things that I think is most important going forward.
Excellent. And obviously, dev is one of the areas that we see a lot of impact in terms of the AI, on the internet, particularly. So, how are you thinking about that, and what effect do you think that'll have on the Tana team process?
I think it will help us generate a lot more code, because we can offload a lot of work like bug fixes. We have started using tools like Devin. For those who know that, it's like AI junior developer that you can chat with and just send it off to do work. But I think that will generate more code that programmers aren't necessarily that invested in. So maybe you haven't tested the result of what Devin does. So I think being able to test more robustly without having to manually keep all those tests alive will be pretty crucial. So in that sense, we reached out to another startup called Meticulous, who is doing a lot of cool stuff for UI testing. And they have a very novel approach where you record entire user sessions during development and during like testing and staging. And then we can replay the entire user session. So in Tana, that means, While we use it, we test it, we render lists, we try meetings, we do all of these things. And then we replay all of these interactions on every PR, so that we know when things change in a much larger scope than just having to manually like check that, yeah, in this scenario, this screen looks still the same. Now we have like 1,500 screenshot tests on every PR. That seems to work pretty good.
Very cool. So the particular stuff that you've been showing to the team is, it feels like it's really on the cutting edge and really addressing a key point for the community too and our users. So it's going to be a real revolution, I think. So awesome to see, and awesome to see the hunt for efficiencies in our process, which shows that we're really there's stuff to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Excellent. All right. All right. Thanks for coming in. I know it's late, but really looking forward to the work that you're going to be doing over the next 12 months and beyond.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right. That's awesome.
All right. This is turning into a bit of a lightning round, Braga, where we quickly jump across, but it's awesome to hear from people we don't normally get to.
It's nice to showcase more faces.
Yep. Should we go to the next one?
Do we have the next one ready?
It is in Olav's spot, I think. It is Aurora who is joining.
Oh, now I get it. Yes, of course. Hey, Olav.
Hey.
Sorry, that confused me for a second. Hey, Aurora, how's it going?
It's going really well. It's a very, very exciting day today.
Yeah.
Did I swag up all right?
Oh, yes, this is perfect. That looks amazing.
And how specifically did you transpose yourself over Olav so quickly?
Well, I moved from my desk 3 meters from here.
Okay, yes. Awesome. So you're based in SF with Olav, which is excellent. And we're going to see a video soon, I think, of you exploring your day in SF.
Ooh, yeah.
Which will be really cool. But thanks for coming in. And do you want to just give a quick overview of your role as well as before we get to some of the stuff that you've done previously?
Yeah, so I'm VP of Ops. So basically anything that Willow doesn't want to do in his role, I do them. That's the good TLDR or tie.
Fantastic. And you've worked in video games for a long time before this, and obviously some hyper growth startups, which are really oriented around moving fast and changing and scaling quickly. Mega Cool, I think, was the one that was really definitive.
Well, actually, Fun Run is the one that was more definitive.
Okay.
Mega Cool was okay, but not as great.
Okay, awesome. So yes, you've been doing it for most of your professional life, though, kind of working in startups at scale or trying to scale, which is impressive. What's around the corner for us, and what can you tell us about what's to come?
It's not going to get easier. That I can promise you. I know that's what everyone's hoping, but it's just going to go faster and be more wild, honestly. Like the curse of successful companies is that it continues to move fast. You might get better at prioritizing and hopefully doing more of the right things. But it's going to be wild, honestly.
Yeah. So
all the chaos are good problems to have, in my opinion.
Yeah, excellent. And what about how you organize a team with Tana? So you're kind of a bit of a glue for a lot of some of the things we do as a team when we do offsites, as well as our Friday show and tells and demos and so forth. How do you use Tana, and how does it really help you in terms of your job?
So it's twofold, right? It's like, how do I use Tana personally in my job, and how do I use Tana for Tana? And so in my role, it's like a good mix of strategic and tactical work. And I think the real breakthrough for me with Tana has been around voice, because I personally think better when I'm moving around and walking. And so being able to do a lot of the work that I do through voice workflows have really given me leverage on my time. So it really helps, like, especially the reflection parts, right? Because I think it's really key in hyperscale and startups to have eyes on the price, but also be very cognizant of the macro climate that you're going into. They say that first-time founders obsess over the product, right? The second-time founders obsess about the distribution, and then third-time founders are able to like see everything that's going on and sort of better predict what's ahead.
Yeah, very cool. So yes, we've got a very experienced founding team. So feel we're kind of on the third wave there, but and also so much experience at the management level across the team, which is really cool to see. What about organizing the team?
Yeah, so I think to be very specific, a few of the workflows that we built out lately has been around capturing decisions and making those easily available for the team, and clarity on who needs to know what. And I think a lot of the main skills that really effective people have is fast decision making, but also clarity around that. Then secondly, at the management level, we've implemented the Mark Macheri method, which is working really well in a very like async environment. And also, especially workflows between Olav, Ty, and myself are very async driven. And obviously, everything that we do, we try to automate within Tana. And right now, I'm planning our offsites, right? And so every offsite gets easier because we can build on the knowledge from the past. And essentially, I try to leave things better for my future self within Tana whenever I touch something.
Yeah, amazing to hear. Yes, Braga, sorry, over to you.
I was just going to say, so the team has been working kind of non-stop now leading up to launch. So what are we doing? Like, where are we going after launch? How do you reward a team for working this hard?
Wait, are you trying to make me spill the surprise?
No surprises. Just
there's a surprise.
Is
there a surprise?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't after spoilers, but if you want to, yeah, I'm all about redacted and unredacting things.
Well, so we're going to Luan. It's a very, very picturesque place near where both Ty and Olav and actually a lot of team members are from. And it's actually where the Frozen movie had a lot of inspiration for its scenery. So it's very spectacular. We're there for a few days. The focus is actually to do a hackathon, and that's going to be epic. And celebrate and come together as a team. Like I'm not sure everyone knows, but we are essentially full remote, even though we have a hybrid model. And I just think it's really key that we spend time together and celebrate and recharge together. So this place is going to be very special. And I'm very excited for what's in store. And I'm actually not going to go into detail on the actual celebration.
No. You can leave it at the top level. But like you say, this place inspired Frozen. Who is the Elsa of Tana's team?
Oh, that's a great question because she is sort of independent and goes off on her own. My kids love Frozen. Maybe it's Olav since he came over here.
I think you're right.
Okay, awesome. Let's finish off. This has clearly been awesome day for us in terms of launch. Any other launch stories you've got, or any kind of reference points for that in your history?
Okay, so one really craziest thing we had with the mobile game fun run that we worked on, we were like 8 people out of a college dorm room, and we had this weekly challenge of a golden fox. A golden fox was like a rare customizable character that we only handed out to the winner of that week. So essentially the one that had the most points at the end of the week. And we noticed that this one player was able to play 24/7, which is obviously impossible, right? But we couldn't see anything that indicated that they were cheating. And so we had to reward it. And later we learned that this was actually a sheikh in Abu Dhabi that had 7 wives that he trained to play Fun Run for him. So it was pretty crazy. And we were pretty big in the Middle East as well as the US. So just one of many many stories from that time.
Yes,
that's amazing.
I haven't checked who's been upvoting us on Product Hunt, but I assume it's not Shade in the Middle East.
That would be something.
Yes. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, Aurora, thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, we'll love to see you more in the community over the next few months. And you're also very important to our merch process at the moment. So I probably shouldn't say that to people because you're going to get flooded with requests. But thanks for all the help on that too.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, our pleasure. Bye. That was great.
Okay.
Olav is definitely the Elsa of the Tana team. Just want to reiterate. Okay.
Yes.
Let's keep this moving.
Isn't there an Olav in that movie? Oh, Olaf.
Yeah, Olaf. Yeah, but he's not an Olaf.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Last one from the team. Let's meet Doug Inge.
Doug Inge, welcome. Hey.
Oh, it's so great to be here. I'm so excited. Even though it's 11:20 p.m., I'm still very excited.
It's getting late.
Your energy, yes, your energy doesn't match at 11:20 on a Monday night in Oslo. So appreciate that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Fantastic. Okay, so can you just give a quick overview of your role and what people can expect to see from you in the community?
Yeah, so I am the head of AI. So I head up the AI team and doing everything there. So I think my biggest role is engaging a little bit with the community and understanding sort of what the needs are and the core experiences that we need to build, and head up all the things that we do in AI and make sure that we just build the right things and that the team is motivated and ready to go.
Fantastic. And what are some of the things that you're excited to explore with AI? Clearly, it's so important to us and the world.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest changes we're seeing right now with AI is a shift in what a user interface actually means and what a good user experience is. So one of the things that I'm super, super excited about that hasn't been on any roadmap or anything, so is this: what can a user interface be if it isn't on the screen? I think this combination of voice, knowledge, and AI together can bring some really new and interesting experiences, because there's so many instances where knowledge happens and being on a screen is infeasible or annoying. And being able to interact with your knowledge, to capture knowledge, to get insights while on the go, I think is one of the most profound things that can change the way we work. And I'm super excited. And I think Tana has the perfect model and the perfect collaboration between human and AI that can enable us to do these workflows and enable you to, capture knowledge everywhere you are. And I'm super excited to be able to explore that.
Amazing. So you clearly have a lot of ideas of things you want to do with AI and Tana. So if you jump forwards 3 months without having to get into specifics, like how different is Tana AI from today? We won't hold you to it, but what's your idea?
I might disappoint some and excite others with this, but I think in 3 months, things aren't going to be that fundamentally different because there is so much we've done. We've run so fast that we've dropped a bunch of things along the way. And one of the key things I want our team to focus on is to ensure that every experience we have is cohesive and works magically on every single platform and device. Because if there's one thing I've learned while being here just for a month now at Tana, is that the community will out-innovate us every single day. They will come up with things that we can't even dream of. And if we focus on delivering really magical core experiences to them, they will do things that we couldn't even imagine. And so that will be our main focus. There are a bunch of other things that Grim mentioned as well, which will be super important for us. The assumable knowledge graph, exploring more within voice and AI. But key point the next 3 months is ensuring that we deliver those magical experiences to our builders and to our community so that they can innovate, because we have no chance when it comes to them.
No. And speaking of having no chance to keep up, you are in an extremely volatile field. Like every few days, there seems to be a new update. You had R1 just a week ago or so. Is it even a couple of weeks? Now OpenAI response with O3 Mini and then deep research. So how do you work in AI in a principled way when the ground is shifting underneath your feet like this?
Yeah, one thing that I say to fellow founders and to builders alike is that my core philosophy has always been to find interesting problems to solve and solve them in ways that feel magical. And that hasn't changed, even though the pace of innovation is sky high. User experience is everything. The key difference, I think, right now is that things that we thought were impossible or infeasible due to costs are quickly becoming feasible faster than we could imagine. And I think just a short while ago, the stuff that we do in Tana today that is actually feasible to do with costs would be infeasible. And one guiding principle I have is that cost per token will be 1/10 of today's cost in a year's time. So we have to skate to where the puck is going. And we shouldn't be too concerned about cost right now, because by the time user adoption picks up and we finish the experiences and really nail down how that should work, the costs have come so far down that it will be feasible. So it is really, really hard, and it's hard to stay ahead of the curve, but it's also the most exciting time to live and build at the moment. It is, it is amazing to see what people are building out there, and also to see what the community is building.
That's awesome. Well, that's like, yeah, your enthusiasm for this is really infectious, I have to say. This is really cool.
And I'm a big fan of the fact that you've given yourself a 3-month deadline to radically change everything about AI and Tana, which you've just committed to live on a public
Promised
stream.
to the entire community. Yeah, in front of thousands.
Yeah, we're cleaning up everything, and all is going to be magical, and everything is just going to work. Yes. But we have some work to do to pick up the stuff that we left behind, but I'm very excited about the future and what we can build together.
Amazing.
Excellent. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doug. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Brage, should we put the Oslo office out of, I wouldn't say misery, right? It's elation, it's joy. I think I saw a comment from Darren while this was on. I'm deeply concerned by the absence of alcoholic beverages in the Oslo office. It's past 11 p.m. and they just massively
If I switch there quickly, do you think they won't have time to hide them under their desks? Should we check?
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, no.
No.
Nothing at all.
Hello. Again.
Hello.
What's up?
Should we just stay in this awkward silence for as long as possible, or should we just let them go to bed?
We wanted to say good night and thank you so much for joining. What great sports. And we won't call on you unexpectedly again. So again, thank you for a great launch day, and speak soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. We could just jump straight back in and see what happens. But let's not. Let's keep moving. All right.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Brage, just before we go to the community section, I know this has been a bit of a marathon, but let's enjoy it too, because we've still got a bit to cover with the community. But it might be nice to get a bit of an overview from you. You've been doing some awesome videos lately, as well as being really clued into some of the cool stuff that's been happening in terms of releases. Can you give a bit of a summary of all that's happened?
Just everything that's happened.
Just every single thing. Yes.
Yeah. No, I think I can. I can give you a quick, because we've been doing so much around the launch, we haven't really had time to kind of do proper launches for things that we before would dedicate an entire day to. So just to kind of quickly go through some of the things, and I'm just going to see if my screen sharing will work here. Just give me 1 second. There we go. All right. So just a really quick, to tell everyone what we've been launching the last just couple of weeks. Here is the chunky launch update, really quickly, fire through. So we now have Android in open testing. Everyone can try it out in the Google Play Store. That's massive news. We have editing on mobile. It's behind the Tana Labs in your mobile app. You can test it out now. Mobile app has been improved on iOS completely, faster performance. There's now sync history and some great changes to the UI. There's a new audio recorder in the iOS app. We have a draft panel, and we haven't covered this. This is a massive change to how you're going to work with rewrites with AI and Tana. And I can't wait to cover this in more detail. But in essence, it's the thing that we mentioned earlier in the stream, how you can now see how things are changing, like what thing, like what prompt ran to create this result, and then change it and iterate, which is going to be massive. We have changed completely the new user setup for new users into Tana, and this is something we should also share with existing users because there's some really, really cool super tags and setups. And speaking of those, we've upgraded recently how templates work in Tana and setups work, both when it comes to template installation, which you can now do both on mobile and desktop, and the way you build templates, how you can now publish them and use building blocks and a lot of these like new ways of building templates that are a lot more efficient and better when integrating with existing user setups. We have desktop notifications for meetings, which is massive and super useful. And there's a new way of writing commands when you want to reference your content. You no longer have to use title expressions inside the prompts in AI commands. You can use @mention to bring up the relevant context or content that you want, which is just amazing. And yeah, a lot of other things. Like there's stuff we haven't even mentioned at all, and so many things we've launched recently that is now out in Tana. We just haven't been able to share it with the community, and we can't wait to tell you more as soon as we as soon as we land this launch.
Braga, do you want to play the video that you've? Is this going to be the world premiere of the video? Or you want to save that for later?
We could definitely do that, but. No, let's save it for later. Let's keep the show moving, and then we'll keep that treat for the end.
That was I've just set up a redacted for you live in front of the community. You've got an opportunity to give a redacted, which is awesome. So, all right, let's keep going. Let's move on to the community section. We're going to cut this down and be a bit short on this. So we've got about 30 minutes left, a lot to cover, but we did want to, with this being our launch and with our community so important from the foundation of Tana, I wanted to really make the community part of the launch too. So I'll put out a few things that I want to discuss in there. So do you mind just sharing my screen, Braga?
I can indeed.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is a quick shout out to Faye, who is in the chat and been doing some awesome comments throughout and really keeping the energy up. So thanks to Faye. Faye's a big part of the community team too, as well as Emmanuel and Theo. But Faye be great in the Slack today and the chat. Brian, I want to ask you a question to start. So how do you build a community of 25,000 energetic, smart, insightful, friendly, and helpful people from all around the world? This is something that we've kind of got to by now.
Is this just to brag about yourself being the community manager of Tana?
Yes, should have added a few more. Smart, funny, thoughtful, well-dressed, intelligent, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. No. It's more a reflection or a question about how important the community is to Tana and how we actually started the journey. So Aaron, I'm going to give a shout out to, but I want to kind of throw back to how we started the community and particularly how one of our founders, Olav, was very central to guiding the community, getting it started and how it really grew. So Olav started the community by building or reaching out one-on-one via DM to people on Reddit and other places who had a curiosity and interest in the things that Tana was exploring. So looking at similar problems, perhaps posting a thing online. So he sent out 400 messages, I think, to start, and only 4 answered. So here are some of them by one-on-one DM with individual users, and one of them, the 4 that answered, one of them was actually a guy called Aaron Lawson. So I think this really counts to the energy and personal connection that we have with the community, as well as how it was driven from the start. So Aaron, if you don't mind coming in, Aaron has been part of the community from the start. He was one of the original 4 members, and he has grown since then to become one of our ambassadors. So Aaron, just want to say hello and welcome, and thanks for being here. Thought it would be a nice opportunity to talk to you live, considering you've been around for so long.
Brad, we made it. A long time getting here. So congratulations to you guys and the whole team. It's amazing to watch what's happened here.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic, Aaron. Yeah, thank you. And what are your recollections of that message with Olav, and how did that actually start?
I thought that he was trying to sell me something. It's like, oh no, now they're on my Reddit. Like first it's messages on Twitter, and now I'm getting them in the Reddit messages too. So I actually missed our first meetup, and that I was curious enough to find out because I'd been running outliners online for numbers of years and posting online of all the things that I wanted them to do that they wouldn't, and I think that's where we maybe tripped over each other. And so in that first contact, started showing Olaf and Tarjay started showing me things that I just didn't have a place to put. I think it was called Tagger at the time, and we were talking about tags that have fields. I'm like, okay, well, I have bullets already, and I have sub bullets. What does that mean? And it actually took me a couple weeks to finally click that this was something totally different. It's something that my friend Pisfraga, another ambassador, I think he's referred to it as building semantic networks. And I think if you haven't seen, this is why having a visualization of the knowledge graph is important, not from a technical standpoint, but just to have that concept out there for people to understand what's actually happening there. If you don't have a framework for what Tana is really doing, and we do a lot of inside baseball here, it just does. You just don't know what you're missing in having those linked relationships between ideas that you can build on the fly. It just works, it works like neurons connecting and firing together in ways, and you're building a version of those with your outline bullets. And so that was where it started for me. And I was when I finally realized what it was, I wrote back and I apologized and I said thank you, because I didn't give it the due attention that it deserved, because I just didn't understand what I was looking at. But it's amazing. I've been using Tana I crossed 1,000 days using the daily page. So 1,000 days using the daily page, big milestone for me. And that's a whole other part of what this is all about for me as well.
Incredible. And yeah, nice to hear. There's a few comments in the chat that you thought Olav was selling you something, and he kind of did.
He did. Yes, he did. Absolutely.
Yeah,
but I thought it was like something like, I don't know, a timeshare or something. Like I had no idea. So
yeah, awesome. And since then,
you've founders don't send you Reddit messages. It's only people who want your credit card number. So
that's right. Fantastic. And since then, you've also done some of our favorite things. You did a really great meetup with FIS, the Second Brain Summit. So I'm just going to take some photos here. Can you talk us through this?
My brother, yes, Fis Fraga, who I love dearly, a good friend. We had an idea together. We both follow the tools for thought, productivity crowd, and that kind of movement. And when FIS had the availability to come up, we decided that we were just going to launch a kind of a guerrilla marketing campaign for Tana at the Second Brain Summit in Los Angeles for October 2024. And we came together with Tiago Forte and Nick Milo and a lot of other people there that had put this amazing event together. And it was like, finally, it's my tribe of note nerds. These are the people that don't get sick of hearing me talk about these kinds of things. But none of these people, or very few of them, actually know about Tana. And so we decided to team up, and we just kind of ran a guerrilla marketing campaign. We made a deck of Tana cards and some tricks that led to a Tana publishment. And at the end of the event, which was only 3 days, they had probably triple the number of speakers that they needed to pull off like a real banger of an event. And everyone had this moment of dread where they had to choose between all these different events with these amazing people. It's like, how do I choose between listening to a talk by Sanka Ahrens or Nick Milo? It's like, this is totally unfair. And Fis and I are like, well, wait a minute. If only there was some type of a shared knowledge environment where you could put ideas up and then have them in a shared workspace, and then have people add their notes and add their thoughts. Maybe they could even tag them. You might even call like super tags. And so we've been running what's called the Tana Code experiment with a lot of people who were they were just really sad that the conference was over, because it was only 3 days and there was enough content for 3 straight weeks. And so we decided to load as much content as we could from the conference into tags that we built on the fly, and built a structure to represent all the events. And then people started taking all of their recorded notes and loading what they thought about different ideas. And so we started working on shared knowledge management as an experiment. That's what the Tana Code experiment meant, is that we're trying, there's enough work to do here just trying to figure out how to make this work for your own personal knowledge system. But that real gold is when it can be a shared environment where things are traveling between each other. So we meet every 2 weeks. We don't always talk about Tana, but we use Tana under the hood for what we're doing, trying to explore those ideas together with the large group of people that are really already highly motivated for that field. So it's been super fun, and I couldn't have pulled it off without Fizz. And so he's my brother and friend, and I was just so glad to get to have that personal experience. Oh, you got to go back to that. That was my daughter's idea. I wanted to pull up like some type of icons of like characters, like a person silhouette. She's like, Dad, people like animals. Just make animals. So I asked Tana for a list of 20 woodland creatures, and then I used the Tana banner command with the low poly count to make low poly cool looking images of woodland creatures, so that each person who came in to join us would have to adopt and follow the attributes of their own woodland creature before they could be part of our secret club.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
and so that was just that for me. That's just the start of things. We were along the way, this has really been about making friends, and so you guys have built a culture where that kind of can happen organically. And I was just I was so glad I didn't miss that first phone call or that first meetup. It's like I can't imagine what would be going on for me if I hadn't had that opportunity. So now coming around to the other side and seeing it public, seeing it launch is just a wonderful moment.
Incredible, Aaron. Well, yeah, something tells me you would have probably ended up here somehow anyway, and it probably would have been Olav reaching out to you some other way, maybe knocking on a window somehow, getting access to you, which was really cool to see. So, yeah, this was a big moment for us in the team. We shared it with the team in our Friday show and tell a few times, because it just came out of nowhere that it was just all of your energy and all of your enthusiasm, and it just applied to doing really cool stuff with other people in the world. And that's really something that stands out to us and is a philosophy for us as well. So really incredible, and thanks for all the effort and all the energy that you've brought to us so far.
If I have just a quick minute, I do want to make one pitch for just one idea here, is that having the conch for a minute in front of people that can listen. The real fundamental change for me that's been happening with Tana has nothing to do with the features that aren't here yet. There was something about being forced to use the daily page and abandon putting things in places in hierarchies. Something about being forced to sit in front of a daily page and then using that space for 1,000 days created a totally different experience than what I thought I was looking for in either a productivity system or knowledge management. It's the first time that technology forced people from productivity and PKM into a place where they journal and do self-expression and spend time observing from the outside. And I can't say enough that you created a whole new ship that goes somewhere you couldn't go before. And so for me, the exploration right now, I'm super pumped about mobile, about AI and things like that. But the real untapped territory right now for me is using the daily page with the semantic network to experience your thoughts in a completely different way that's built with a daily practice. So I want to explore that. I'm working on a book on that subject, and I'll have information on my website available sometime in the near future. So I love you guys. I'm super glad to be getting to be part of the story with you.
Thank you, Aaron. I'll put your Tana ambassador page up, so check out Knowledge Work Studio with more information there. So thanks for coming in, and great to hear from you.
Yeah.
Yes. I also perhaps thanks, Aaron. Thanks for coming in. I also want to give a quick shout out to Ingrid in the chat, just as a reference point for how much the team listens to feedback. During Aaron's presentation then, I quickly saw a Slack message that was pinging our feedback internally channel to say Aaron had 1,000 daily nodes in Tana, and maybe we should explore that as some kind of milestone or celebration for people. So that's just a reference point to how quickly the team listens to the community and the things that they're doing. And big thanks to Ingrid for both the energy in the chat as well tonight. Cool. Next one. Let's bring on Theology.
Theo himself.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Hello, Theo.
Theology, is that my name?
Yeah.
It is
wow,
now.
I've been smiling for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Like this has been so awesome.
Amazing.
Okay, Theo, tell us what you've been up to. And we put down a few questions here as a way to kind of guide people. If you were new to Tana, what would you do first? Perhaps as a way to reference it, or perhaps even more generally, what have you been up to, Theo? You've just joined the team, or you've been part of the team for a long time, and you're also a long-standing member of the community. So perhaps give us an update there.
Yeah, so Grim mentioned it earlier. We've been working on making the initial experience for new users in Tana better, make it easier to see what Tana can do, and yeah, kind of get an instant value out of the box. So what we've been working on is, as part of that, is the starter content. So I don't know if you see my screen now, Brage.
We don't. Would you like me to put it up?
Yes, please, Brage. Yes.
All right, here you go. Let's see.
So here's the super tag page for what's now the new starter content. And by starter content, I mean the things that get installed into a new user's workspace when they sign up to Tana. So I guess the mindset behind this has been, we want to keep it simple. We don't want to build loads of powerful but also complex stuff into everyone's workspace. So it's been keeping it simple, but at the same time, give as much value as possible in that simplicity. And Tana allows for that, which is quite insane. And with some of the new features as well, it's been a lot easier to do that too. So it comes with a set of tags. And in those tags, there's a lot of different workflows just from those tags working together. So we have, basically you have a CRM out of the box. You have a meeting setup that creates, extracts tasks and creates summaries that are like ready to share in a click. Also agenda or discussion items showing up based on the people you are in a meeting with or based on the meeting you are in. And we have different voice to structure tags, as I like to call them. So things you can do by voice on mobile, super easy, just capture voice to a tag and then get insane output from it. So effortless, where you go like brainstorming sessions, you can extract ideas from brainstorming, some questions you have, and the AI extracts not just the items, but also the answers. So if you have questions and you have answers to them, both get extracted. And daily preps, as we've probably talked about before, where we can start your day with the Tana on mobile on the way to work, or just the first thing you do when you sit down, and tasks and commitments for the day is extracted. And also more reflection questions about what would they make the day a success, and what are the things you're excited about, and so on. And also weekly reflections at the end, as Aurora talked about, which is also super important. Look forward, but also look backwards and reflect and learn. So the things you want to do more of and the things you need to stop doing, there are things that just come out of just talking to your phone and talking to a super tag. So a lot of power in that. We also have two tags, which is the article and the memo tags, which have also some really cool functionality where you can capturing, like you could start drafting a title or an article as you want, or a memo, which is like internal communication. And or you can like capture an idea by voice to the article tag. So you just got one idea about, I should write an article about this, just capture it to the tag, and AI will kind of try to make a draft based on that. You can, of course, it's Tana, you can edit it and it's yours. And then you can also, we've made like rewrite functions, so you can rewrite into different formats and different styles, and also share with a click using publish. And some cool new functionality is also the draft panel, which Asgeir mentioned and also Grim mentioned, where you now can like quickly go in and adjust the prompts that we have kind of created for you. You can adjust, you can run the prompt again, see what works for you, change the prompts, add new ones if you want. So there's a lot of functionality, and also you can adapt it and learn from it and improve on it. So same with the memos as well, Slack posts, emails, that kind of thing, executive briefs, But I guess the other thing I've been working on is, even when you have all of this, it's also, when you get into Tana, it's going to be a bit intimidating for a lot of people. We see that in the community. There's a lot of questions when you see this workspace the first time, the empty daily notes. So what should you do? And that's where we've been working on. Brage has been working on this, Hilda and me, new getting started content. And more of this will come, right, Brage?
Yes.
But we have a bunch of videos which will take you through the basics. And also I created an interactive guide, which will be a bit more slow and a bit long, but you will kind of get to know Tana and the starter content quite deeply. And you can kind of click around as we go through it together. So yeah, that's it.
Amazing. There's a question on the screen for you from Lasse. Is this available as a template so existing users can install it?
I think you promised that, Brage, haven't you? So definitely, that was always the plan. These will be distributed as templates, and we're thinking to distribute them as kind of bundles, because a lot of the super tags go together, and we can kind of make 3, I think, separate bundles that kind of hold the same functionality but in different ways. I think that will be great, and everyone can download.
Yes, we'll do that as soon as possible. I have a question, Theo. So
yes,
you've built a lot of different setups in Tana, like for everything from habit tracking to a lot of different things. So how do you like, in the process of working on the starter content, how do you decide what goes into like all new users setups?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's back to what I started with. Like, I think Tana has, like, one of my favorite things about Tana is there's simplicity. There's power in the simplicity of Tana. So just using the data model and the features that are there in the simplest way is kind of the best way to build with Tana, I think. Not overcomplicating things, not putting a bunch of buttons everywhere and commands all over the place, but really thinking about the most efficient way, the Tana way to build. I think that's my kind of my goal with building. Yeah.
Awesome.
Excellent, Theo. And another thing we asked just in the lead up to today, recognizing that there'll be a lot of new people showing up and exploring Tana, was some of the resources that you would recommend. You've been responsible for the world's greatest YouTube playlist, which has over 415, I think, videos on Tana that have been published on YouTube. And so, yeah, along with the community team, you're really well attuned to some of the things that are going on. So what would you recommend someone new to Tana would do?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it hasn't actually been a responsibility of mine. Like, you've never laid this on me. This is something I've done since the first day of using Tana. I've been building this playlist of all Tana YouTube videos, and that's for myself, and that's why I keep doing it, because I really watch I've watched all of those 415 videos, and probably several, like half of them, I watched them twice. So I'm definitely using this playlist myself. But yeah, it was an impossible task. There's so much amazing content. So I've tried to do some of the more recent and best videos, and I put them here. And there is a bit of a variety, like bunch of amazing ambassadors and navigators also, and others creating videos for Tana. And there's so much amazing content. And for me, watching YouTube videos is like the way to learn. Plus, there's other ways too, which is there's some amazing threads. So here's some of them. I want to go through and add more of these, but Andre and Fizz have some amazing like Twitter threads which go into like technical detail, but also with like a really good understanding of what Tana is. And also Fizz's YouTube video about like the power of Tana, which is getting a bit old, but that one is like probably my favorite video about Tana. So I didn't include that one, but I should. And Andre's Tana 101 publish page is also insane. And then the biggest tip of getting good at Tana is to join the community. Like this, that's for sure where you learn the most. So just asking questions, reading the answers, reading the questions, contributing if you can with perspectives, and yeah, just having fun. Like lots of fun to be had in there.
Awesome, Theo. Yes, we'll share that into the community, and I agree with the sentiment, just jumping in and exploring with others, and kind of like the chat that's going on in YouTube now, a lot of people just jumping in with interesting ideas and curiosity, and it goes a long way. So finding people you kind of resonate with at that level goes to show that's how you get further with your ideas and progress. So thanks for everything you do in the community too as well, Theo. It's been really super.
Yeah. Thank you to Theo. Both of you for this. This has been awesome.
All right.
See you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Okay. Thanks, Theo. We got one more guest. We were supposed to have two, but we'll close down with one, and we're going to finish with Ev. So if you don't mind bringing in Ev.
I will indeed. Hey, Ev. How's it going?
Hey. Great. This has been fun.
It's been
good
great.
to see you. Yeah.
Good to see you. I'm glad it's not
You know
too
what I
early.
love is, yes, everyone else it's dark and time for bed, and for you and I, it's like the start of the day and ready to go.
Like the best way to start my day. And I've been up half the night watching all of
Fantastic. Ev, let's keep this short. We haven't given you enough justice in terms of time, but I gave you a question, which was we'd also have a lot of returning users today, and those over the next few weeks who will start to explore Tana again. If they are returning, what's something they should check out, or what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think just number one is you should definitely check it out again, right? Like I remember, not to name a different outliner that I used before Tana, but it took me a long time to get into that mode, right? And I had to like retry it a few times. And then when I got into Tana, it was just like so easy because I already knew how to use outliners and all of that kind of thing. So I definitely think that you should try it a couple of times because it's an absolute mindset shift to make, right? But I also think like some of the things last week when the command menus came out and Braga, called me out for having messy nodes. I think that's probably the most excited I've been. And I was sharing with Matt yesterday that I was trying to explain to, a guy who helps me with YouTube, how exciting this is. And I was saying, no, it's really exciting, but it doesn't sound super exciting when you're trying to explain it. But it definitely opens up, I think, so much functionality for adding so many more ways that you can deal with your data and organize info. So that's kind of I reckon I'm most excited about that kind of stuff, building stuff, making things easier for yourself, not having to do 5,000 clicks to change a status and those kinds of things. Voice as well. I keep raving on about voice to people. Yeah.
And you've also been an early exponent or explorer, I should say, of some of the agent stuff. I don't know if you're, we've still got a little bit of time if you want to share something, Ev, but
share my,
agent work. Yeah.
Yeah, if you share my screen, I think, and if you haven't watched my latest video, I go through this, but one
Look
of
at
my
those tidy
favorite
menus. Look at those tidy menus.
I know, right? And they're so organized now. I have like a quick menu and an AI menu. It's like it's beautiful. But one of the main ways that I definitely use the AI agents, and they're only really brand new, is in meetings, right? So once I have a transcript in a meeting, like I do all the normal things, right? One-click prompts to get actions and things like that. But sometimes in a lot of my meetings, I have to go back once I'm actually doing work and see like, well, what was the context of that? If it's a coaching call, like did we talk about something specific? All sorts of things. So I actually have an agent that is called Chat with Transcript, and so when I click it. It opens up this little chat box on the side, and then I can ask any question about the meeting. It already sends that transcript off to AI, and then I can ask this. There is actually a transcript. I just don't want to say who this client is, but I can say what platforms did we decide to launch on, right? And then suddenly, like this was like an hour and a half meeting, and I can kind of ask any question and get answers back. And so like here, I can pretty, like I don't have to read through a whole transcript, and I can make kind of stuff happen like that. So that's one of my favorite ways to use agents. But I also have a whole lot of others for creating content. Like I work in marketing, so create lots and lots of content every day. So I have, headline stuff, and I have all sorts of things. And being able to kind of have the chat right in Tana, and then just literally, if I needed to, I could, drag these nodes over and do whatever I need with them. It's just makes things so much faster to be able to do and get a lot of work done. And I find that I just move heaps faster. So yeah.
Incredible. And you've also had some really nice ideas about when to use AI command nodes versus agents, and really starting to explore that as well.
Yeah, and I think like we've had AI commands in Tana for ages, right? And so I used a lot of commands, but a lot of the way that we use AI these days is actually in the chat. So I still have prompts that do like one-click things, right? So if I have a look, this is an opening now. it's gonna break now that I'm
It's demo cursed. Yeah.
Anyway, I do have so I have one-click prompts for things like get the action items. Like I don't have to talk to Tana about that. It just knows what it's supposed to do. But there might be some things like, especially when you're working like if I'm developing copy or ideas or things like that, I often want to go back and forth. And so what I love is being able to like the chat already has context on the note because I'm working in my notes. So if it's a meeting, or if I've got a bit of a brain dump about a YouTube idea or an article that I want to write, and then I can iterate on it in the chat. So there's times when definitely like the one-click prompt works, and you need that, and that's like really quick. And then other times, and I think this is where I see agents working, and this iteration of agents is that when you need to iterate on something with AI, you can just use the agent or an agent command. So yeah.
Awesome.
Fantastic, Ev. Yes, so cool to see the difference, and clearly exploring too. So there'll be more to come on that, I think, both in terms of agents progressing further as well as the difference with command nodes. So yeah, great to see. So yeah, we might leave it there. Ev, we're 3 minutes over time, which is pretty close on a 3-hour live stream.
It's been a long 3 hours. I mean, personally, I would like to see a 24-hour live stream, but
yes.
I know everyone has.
Should we just stay on? Stay on for 21 more hours.
I'll just throw off all the meetings that I have today.
Yeah, please.
Yes, that's right. Sleep is overrated, as Ingrid says in the chat. So, yeah, fantastic. All right, thanks for coming in, Ev, and we'll
thank you so much,
we'll share some resources too.
Bye.
Fantastic, Braga. I think we're almost there. Can I just quickly do one or two things before we finish? Can you just share my screen, please?
Oh yeah, of course.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Andrew. in the chat too. So yeah, just a quick overview of what happens in the community. Since 2022, the best way I could probably describe it is just interesting people doing interesting stuff with Tana, and there's just so much stuff in there. Jens Christian was one of the early ones who put together the Tana pattern library and shared his videos and so forth. Dee put together the community resource hub and has done so much there. A special shout out to Andrew, who put together the Tana Jam sessions just with his own energy and enthusiasm, put it out there online, launched the first one in October 2022, and people just met up and started talking about Tana. And this was the most recent one. I think it was early this year or late last year, no, early this year, and it's still going. So that's an incredible testament to Andrew. Penny in the ADHD community doing some awesome stuff too, similar energy, just going to do stuff. Find people who also want to do stuff, and out of that becomes a really cool thing. So thanks again to Penny. And how do you reward that kind of stuff? You send people a hat. So that's how we do it. Also on ideas, clearly a big thing. And shout out to Theo and Faye, who do the drop-in sessions, and Emmanuel on those as well. Ambassadors, we didn't really get to mention them, but I do want to thank them all. They've all also been there from the start and done so much for us as well. So I know I'm running through this quickly, but I do want to give some sense of how much the community does, as well as how important they are. Last 6 months in the community Slack, 6,000 posts and almost 20,000 reactions and 16,000 replies. All time, it is reaching 40,000 posts, 84,000 replies. So that's only in the space of 3 or 4 years now, or 3 years. So it shows the energy and enthusiasm we have for everyone. And a special mention to all of our top contributors, Reddy, Darren, Mark, and Andre and Ev, who have been in there from the start and always give such great insights. And yes, we can see others in the chat, Carol, Kate, others that have been here with us as well. So I'm going to miss people clearly, but I just want to say, I feel like I'm doing an Oscar speech now, brother. Maybe it's just the...
Do you hear the music? Do you hear the music pulling off stage?
That's exactly right. All right, I think we're there, Braga. Yes, about 6 minutes late, but on 3 hours, I think we can...
I think that's pretty accurate. I think we could give ourselves a pat on the back for that, pat on the tux for that.
Yes, thank you.
I think there's something I'd love to end on, and it's a bit of a repeat, Matt, if that's okay.
Yep.
So I just wanted to remind people, like, not the reason we're here, but one of the reasons we're here, one of the things we're doing today, which is, let me just bring it up, the fact that we've just launched. And
amazing.
It's going really, really well. And we're all like ecstatic, super tired, and like just the fact that this is going well means the world to us, because it means that like the community and the product is getting the recognition that means that we can actually go further and do more. So that was the first part of this 2-part series of like a reminder. The second part is I just wanted to remind people what's at stake.
All right,
that,
a promise is a promise.
If we get the upvote, get the attention of productants that we're really, really trying to get, then Grim has some insane promise he has to keep. I don't know if it was 3,000 or 5,000 upvotes this month, but he has to get a Tana tattoo. And he said somewhere on his body, I think like maybe the community decides where and the size of the tattoo. Well, let's not get into that. But like that's the stakes here. So again, please, if you haven't gone to Product Hunt yet, but you have the chance, please do go up to Product Hunt and support us. It would mean the absolute world for us, as you can see. All right, and amazing. I think I'll
there's only one way to finish.
Yeah.
There's only one way to finish, isn't there?
Should we...
Our regular way?
Should we just say bye?